So these letters get released. At least we believe they're genuine, showing Trump's aide, Natalie, very affectionately referring to her guardian and protector. And it's sparking I don't know how you describe it, but it's like, it's not quite a scandal yet in terms of, inappropriate relationship with the president. But these letters are pretty weird. So we'll talk about it. We'll break it down. But this is the big story today. I'm assuming that if it involves the president, everyone wants to know about it. But this story's been bubbling up with Trump's aide, who's, in her 30s. She's a young, attractive woman, and people are, I guess they're kind of insinuating there may be something inappropriate going on. Before I just dump it all in the intro, though, we'll save it for us, the show. And of course, new data coming out suggesting Democrats are on track to win the midterms. But with the rise of the DSA, there's questions about whether or not these polls will actually reflect a general election turnout. So we'll talk about that and everything else. My friends, smash that like button, all the good stuff on this amazing Friday. Joining us today to talk about this and everything else, we've got Mason from One Hand Politics.
Tim, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Who are you?
You lived up to your promise. You
had you on the show?
At the show at Jubilee, and I'm here.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate that.
Well, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, I do a live show on Twitch. It's One Hand Politics. My name's Mason. I've done a lot of debates with different right-wingers and moderates, self-described moderates.
They got mad at that one, huh? There was no description of me that would have made anybody happy.
Just Tim Pool.
That's
Isn't
why.
that
That's
what
why
they ended up going with. Tim Pool versus 20 progressives now.
It was A/B tested. It was so they when we were setting up the show, we went with 3. And one of them was Tim Pool versus progressives, moderate versus progressives, and Tim Pool won, probably because my name recognition is bigger than the idea of like moderate or whatever. But you're the guy that I ran away from.
You're the guy that rage quit. You know what? I saw you talk about it with Steven Crowder, so I rescind the rage quit. We'll call it like a rage sabbatical, right? You had to leave. You had to get out of the moment. You came back eventually. So I think everyone was like having a problem with me saying rage quit, like you just left entirely from the debate. Yeah. That wasn't the implication. But to clear up the air, you took a rage seminar, a rage pause.
A rage pause. I think it's like people want the story to be that I stormed off and never came back, and like I just walked out. They want the story to be bigger than I walked away from you and then came back. You know what I mean?
You wanted to end the moment right there.
Well, I mean, it's a mixed bag. Well, we can talk about it because I talked about the Crowder. I talked about it on my show. But it was more so like you pulled out a beanie to do a camera thing. I said, it's all you. Like, I'm out.
Yeah, the thing is, like, everyone's accusing me of knowing that it was going to be you. But, like, there's only so many people it could be when it's a moderate. Like, when they're selling it... No, when they're selling it like one moderate versus 20 progressives, like the idea isn't going to be like Ezra Klein or some liberal is going to come in here that's like on the center left. Like it's always going to be like someone who's self-described moderate. I mean, I think you even said to Steven, you liked the idea of being called a moderate, even if you don't fully identify as like dead in the center, just because it's like good for your brand and good for advertisement, right?
Absolutely. That's why I go on a show like that. But it's not just about the branding of calling myself a moderate. It was that most of the liberals never watch my show and don't hear my opinions. So going on Jubilee, they're going to hear something from me that they don't expect. Because if you only watch clips from progressives, you're only hearing conservative positions and you never hear liberal positions. But if I go and sit down with a bunch of liberals, I think the best way to exemplify it is when dude at the end said, if we agree so much, why are you here? And it's like, the real answer is because we don't agree on everything, but we agree on some things. So.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I thought the prompts were interesting. Maybe we could get into it after we talk about the news and stuff. But
we'll get into it, right? Yeah, absolutely.
It seemed kind of like they weren't like super strong positions, and I think that was intentional of like the brand you're trying to go with moderate, was because it was kind of hard and difficult to argue with it. If your prompt is like the Constitution effectively doesn't exist or it's not operational, I forget the specific wording.
The first one.
But it's like we've always had like big disagreements on the interpretation of the Constitution. So I feel like with you saying like, well, liberals say that Trump is violating the Constitution and conservatives don't believe that Democrat presidents follow the Constitution. We could say that about like so many eras of American history. I just feel like would the Constitution ever matter?
So like when you have the DSA as 1/3 of the Democratic Party and they're saying we want a parliamentary system, no Senate. We're not talking about the Bill of Rights. We're talking literally about Article 1.
Right. So you think that divide is equivalent with like abolitionists and pro-slavery people saying that the Constitution guarantees slavery and human ownership as property?
Well, I'm reluctant to get into the full debate as the show is starting. We've introduced everybody.
That's fair.
But I don't want to not answer and just say
for the meat.
I think the issue is I think this was your argument, which is a good argument, that there's always been disagreements on the interpretation of the Constitution.
Yeah.
My argument more so is that we have a growing faction that outright says there shouldn't be one at all, and they won't adhere to it. And so, like I said, the DSA is campaigning to eliminate Article 1 of the Constitution.
Part of amendments is changing what the Constitution has. That's why we have 22 of them.
Yes, but amending Article 1 of the Constitution is substantially different from amending the Constitution to include a protection or a function of government.
I have thoughts on the idea of an amendment.
Let's get into it. It'll get very good. It's getting too good too quick.
Yeah. Okay, we'll keep it under wraps.
This violates the Fourth Amendment.
Subscribe to Timcast.
And this is going to be a much better version of the conversation than the everyone pulls you out of the show. But
100%. Yeah.
All right. Well, the boys are
rage
here.
bait might be a better word than rage, sabbatical, or quit. But what's up, Phil?
Rage pause.
What's up, everybody?
Phil,
I'm
Ian.
Phil. Ian's here.
Oh, I have to make a correction. Last night I said RNA protease is what you use to repair RNA.
Oh,
It's actually RNA polymerase.
Oh,
I apologize. It's the polymerase.
Just
All the
tossing
science
your
heads out there.
credibility right out the window.
More
using
misinformation.
ChatGPT.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, look, and then it's a funny point because I wasn't here last Friday, and I guess Ian was talking about if a war broke out with China that the U.S. might put Chinese people in concentration camps or something.
We
I said that he was wrong.
And then Media Matters writes, Timcast IRL discusses putting Chinese people in concentration camps. And I'm like, I'm not even there.
Not at all what
I
was
said, I
happening.
don't think it's a good thing to do, but it happened with the Japanese during World War II, and I could see it happening. And that's kind of where their combo was about. And they're like, Ian Crossland discussed it.
There's a lot to get into. I'm having fun already.
true, I
Let's talk about the news. Let's jump to the story. We got this from CNN.com. My guardian and protector, Natalie Harp, letters express her devotion to Trump. I got to be honest, devotion isn't the word that I would use. I'm not trying to...
Really, with all my love as the bottom, that's not devoted.
No, I'm saying more than that. I'm saying devotion is too light.
Obsession. Yeah.
Yeah,
With all my heart, not with all my
Freaky
love.
Natalie is what they call her, actually.
Are they really
It's with
calling
all
her
my.
that?
It's with all my heart, not with all my love.
With
Oh
all
my
my
heart.
heart.
Are we gonna?
Well, that's actually
Yes,
that's
we
probably
do. Yes, it does matter.
Probably worse.
It
with
does
all
matter.
my heart.
It does matter.
Okay, let's...
God.
So I was going to say, I think devotion is too light.
Yeah.
So here, I'll read some of this. I just want to exemplify that there's two letters. And, well, let me just read it. Dear Mr. President, I'm sorry. I thought I was the only one left behind last night, and no idea Margot's car was also pulled over and sent back to the airport. Since I was alone in the van outside customs without my passport, I panicked and should have just called Secret Service instead of you. I also am sorry if I was an embarrassment walking the course in Scotland. The first day I was told there were no carts and people walked, which is why I walked. Okay.
Keep in mind, she was running, is the actual report, to keep up with the golf cart.
Wow. So she also, I do think it's, I don't want to read the whole thing just because it's wordy and kind of like weird to do.
There's
but
some stuff you got to read in there, too.
I think people should read this. I want things to always be right between us. I also know I've been distracted all week, forgetting to eat throughout the days and even forgetting to sleep and only catching a couple hours at a time. I haven't been myself, dwelling on the past and the pain of losing my dad, and I started letting the remarks of of people bothered me before get to me. I'm sorry, lost my focus. You are all that matters to me. I don't want to ever let you down. Thank you for being my guardian and protector in this life. That's what I wanted to use this card for. When you saw me at the cash register and once again did what you didn't have to do and gifted me with mementos. Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking Mentos. Mementos of this trip. Okay. Of a lifetime. I thought he was literally buying her mints. I will return a better person and have to sign off for now as the cars are leaving with all my heart. Okay, now hold on.
Jeez.
Sign off. It sounds like an email that got printed, but then it's hand signed. And the signatures look the same. So here's another one. Dear Mr. President, now this is the note I wanted to write, but the apology needed to come first. What? I have learned so much about myself on this trip. I always knew coming home to my roots would be enlightening, but I had no idea how much. For the first time in I don't know how long, you forced me to unplug. We could be out on the course with no machines and even forget what time it was. Okay. She calls herself she says, I didn't have to be the human printer. I could take time to enjoy good conversation, still got all my work done by the end of the day. Let's see. I had no idea how rapidly I was approaching burnout and started to envy those whose only job seems to be to talk with you and look pretty. I want that job. So many times I was just trying to stay afloat with all that's coming for you. Okay, but I don't know. But going after all self-analysis, my conclusion, I need to reunite my past self with my current into a better version. You will that will make you proud. And please, when I fail, will you tell me? I'll never forget when you made that promise to me after losing my dad, and I know how happy he is right now that I did get to go to Scotland and Ireland. as he always wanted for me. To modify a classic, I could not have parted with you to anyone less worthy. And I will add, it is I who is unworthy.
Jesus Christ.
P.S. My hands look worse in Scotland and Ireland because of the cold. The cold turns my old scars purple. Still on the road to recovery. On the other note, she ends with all my heart. It doesn't sound sexual, but it does sound obsessive.
Yeah, that's mania. It's literally a type of love. Like Eros is sexual love, but mania is obsessive love. And
It does sound like obsessive
I think
love.
from her part, it could be like a psychosexual obsession, even if they're not like in a physical relationship. Like I honestly, just from Donald Trump's demeanor and the way that he's presented himself, he doesn't really seem like he's really motivated by sex. He's talked about it a lot, especially before he went into like politics, but it's always seemed more of like a power and like status oriented brag than it has been about like, oh yeah, I can't wait to, you know, like I don't even know if sexual pleasure is like something that's like Donald Trump's like top priority.
Well, I actually agree because he's old, right?
Yeah.
So what you'll probably find is a lot of older guys, probably Trump, they want the testosterone, masculine, I'm a strong man.
Yeah. They want the perception that women are flocking to him without actually.
So as an 80-year-old man, you know, look, old people bang. You know, nobody wants to think about it, but they do. But it's just less frequent. And I think an 80-year-old guy is probably like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, I think the real story here is again, like she is the closest person to him at all times of the day. 35-year-old woman who's transcribing all of his thoughts and filtering information that gets to him. There's also reports that she is filtering like comments from world leaders to what he hears, which is kind of crazy.
What if she's the shadow president? Everything happening is her, the tariffs, you know, war with Iran, it's her, and she's like, fire the missile.
is she translating messages from foreign dignitaries to Donald Trump?
I don't think she's translating, but she's the one that's giving it to him.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think, Phil?
I mean, so she had bone cancer. We were talking about this before the show. She had bone cancer, and she credits Trump's right to try efforts with saving her life. It does sound like she's kind of obsessive, but you know, I don't think that there's. The only question I have is about her security clearance stuff. So if she doesn't have a clearance or didn't have a clearance,
yeah, she chose not to go through.
That's weird.
The security
that
clearance.
might cause some kind of problem. But otherwise, look, like you'd mentioned, you said something about elected, and the president's like aides and stuff. They're not elected. He just selects them. Like that goes for all the presidents. So
but the point is,
can't he appoint clearance like as the president?
yeah,
Can't he
yeah.
just give
If
someone
I understand,
clearance?
well,
he sent a memo to her encouraging her, you have to go through with this.
Interesting.
It's
And you
just like if he has to send like a memo for her to fill out a form, it's weird. It's weird to like go through those channels.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I think I agree. That's a little odd, but I don't like. If he can't actually give her a clearance, but he can decide that the things that he's telling her that she hears are no longer top secret. So
Can I just
there?
can I just do the stupidest conspiracy theory?
She's listening. Just first of all, for that, she's listening into classified meetings. She's 10 feet away without that security clearance.
Well, is she still without that security clearance? What did she? How long did she not have one?
I think she has it.
I don't
now.
know what the update is now. Yeah, but the big issue that people are having is for the longest time she didn't. And
Yeah.
as far as like the bone cancer thing, like she talked about that. I think she did it at the RNC back like in 2020 and for the re-election. But that specific treatment that she got was already FDA approved, and that was reported by the New Republic.
She
So it
let's
seems
see.
more of like a spin, not really like Trump's right to try.
She delayed completing the standard security clearance, the SF-86 form, for more than a year while working at the White House with close access to the president. Concerns from the White House counsel's office, security officials, and others led Trump to intervene. That's when he sent her the memo saying, please get it. She then completed the paperwork, underwent a background check, and has received clearance in recent months. So there's no official date, I suppose. But I'm gonna let me just throw out a conspiracy theory. Trump wrote those letters to himself to make it look like young women desperately love him. Yeah. So he can be like, well, you know.
I'd be off brand. Yeah.
It would be on brand.
I am pretty great. I am pretty great.
This kind of was like, what's the ethics of getting a young, hot secretary?
And wait. Okay, sorry. It does kind of sound like a guy writing an obsessive woman character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Oh, I
Like
know. With
not
all my
something.
love and all
it
this
It's
doesn't-
so stereotypical.
Yeah.
But I think to your point, I mean, that's probably why this is a real thing. I think that Trump likes to surround himself with people who are inflating his ego like that.
Yeah, but
I think it's
Trump.
To Ian's question about what's the ethics of it, we've already decided that that's fine. We decided it 35 years ago when Bill Clinton did his escapades with Monica Lewinsky. Like,
Well, I don't know. I don't.
him?
Oval Office.
What?
That
Well,
was-
no,
When
but
we
that-
impeached
he was
him?
not
No,
impeached.
that was for lying.
He was not
For
impeached.
perjury, okay.
He was not.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't roll your eyes like it's some kind of made up thing.
Every single
It's
Republican,
exactly-
every single Republican that was pushing for it was talking about family values and the sanctity.
It
we
doesn't
know
matter.
That's the scandal.
The
That's
thing
what it
that
was.
he got
agree.
impeached for was for lying.
Yeah.
Under oath.
But I don't think anybody agrees on what happened with Clinton.
Nobody has at any point been impeached for any kind of sexual.
Right.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Oh, I'm not asking if
Impropriety.
it's illegal. I'm just
Impropriety,
asking
yeah.
if it's unethical.
You know.
Like, is it
Yes.
ethical for an 80-year-old man to have a
It was-
35-year-old
it
super
was
sexy secretary?
Listen, it was ethical when JFK was banging Marilyn Monroe, or we decided that it was ethical, that it was acceptable. Maybe if you're
Or
deciding, if
Abraham
you're saying
Lincoln with a gay lover.
what.
Or Abraham Lincoln with a gay lover.
I mean, maybe. I don't know anything about that. I haven't heard. But like, look, this is something that the American people have largely decided, look,
Ian.
this is something that doesn't make a big difference to us.
There she is.
I completely disagree. I think that a large part of why that was so normalized was because things weren't as transparent, like without the internet or without constant press. I mean, FDR, the people didn't even know he was in a wheelchair because the press kept that silent.
Yeah,
but I think now, like probably since George W. Bush, everything's trying to be out in the open. Every
Just
news
because
org is trying to get
it's being out in the or trying to be put out in the open, and people on opposing sides will use it against the people that are running. So the Republicans would do it to Democrats would do it to Republicans. Just because it's out in the open doesn't mean that the American people actually care. Donald Trump did the whole grab him by the, and I'm not going to say it because we're on the show, and the American people elected him twice. Generally, the American people don't really care. At least they don't care enough to say we're not going to allow
All right,
that.
Ian, here's what you need to do, okay? I need you to gain some weight, right? You got to get a Trump haircut. You got to learn to arch your neck forward a little bit and stick your chest out and go like this when you talk.
Oh, it hurts.
She's single, bro.
well,
So you got to do. You see how she's looking at that man?
yeah, with
You
fervent
need
eyes, a
you need to
fervent
mold yourself into that symbol of masculinity.
Yep.
And then you gotta
hire a girl that's 45 years younger than
no,
me.
and then you ask her on a
How
date.
pissed
What are
do
you
you
talking
think
about?
Caroline Leavitt is that Caroline wasn't offered the secret plane that Donald Trump left, but Natalie?
I don't actually.
Natalie
think,
was shuttled.
I don't actually know if I believe that story that they went on another plane because
Really?
when they landed, the report I think Politico said they don't understand how he would have gotten back onto Air Force One. So that story may have been a misdirection for some reason.
You know, I want us to say with
Hey, real quick, sorry. When they landed in the UK, they waited for like 25 minutes and then Trump deplaned, same as everybody else. And so the first report was that Trump switched planes. We didn't know what happened. Then the report came out recently that he snuck into the catering cart. But the reports about his landing in the UK said there was no catering cart. So how did he make it back to Air Force One? Unless,
And that's completely fabricated story.
well, I'm not saying I know for sure, but I'm questioning, was there an ulterior motive with lying to the press? And one of the theories is that the story was fake, intended to see who was leaking information to the press. So, right, they go to some people on the plane and then say, hey, Trump snuck off the plane. He's not actually here. The catering cart took him away.
Wasn't the press on the plane?
Right. Somebody went and whispered and said, Trump's actually not here because they weren't supposed to know. Then when the report came out,
But why would there be confusion about a member of the press leaking something when their job?
it's not the member of the press leaking. It's someone from Trump's staff telling the press things they shouldn't.
Oh, I see.
So how did the press find out? So here's the theory, and I'm not saying it's true, but if the president sneaks off of Air Force One because of a security risk to his life, no one should know that, right? That should be like top secret, presidents being shuffled away. How did the press find out? A lot of people on the left are saying, isn't it weird that Caroline Leavitt left right after she found out she was left on the decoy plane? And my response was not that she got mad and quit, but could she have been the one to have told the press about the secret plan, and that's why she's no longer there? Like,
A quiet resignation.
well, she's like, right afterwards, she's like, I'm leaving you with my family. And then when they landed in the UK, I think it was Politico that reported no catering cart would have transported Trump back to the plane. Trump just deplaned and they don't know how he got back on the plane. So why should I assume that story is actually true in the first place?
Interesting.
I don't know. You know, it's all speculation. To be honest, in the absence of evidence, the simple solution is Caroline Leavitt had a baby and she wants to be out.
I had the same ideas with Tulsi Gabbard. I thought it seemed more than just she was leaving to be with her husband. It felt like her disagreements with Trump about the Iran war forced her out of the administration, and that they they don't want to say that out loud.
Well, she leaked information to Congress that completely disrupted the whole narrative of why we went to Iran in the first place. She said in her congressional testimony, we did not have adequate evidence that Iran was building a nuclear weapon, which was a large part of why Trump said we need to go in there. And he still says that to this day. So there was absolutely a conflict there, which is why, I don't know if she left or if she was told to leave by the Trump admin.
Yeah, it's not true.
I think. So I've spoken with some people. Like, look, we know people who work in the Beltway and who work in these spaces, from super close, literally in the administration, to outside from consulting groups. And the rumors that I've heard as of recent is that she was forced out.
Yeah.
And it was just convenient. But here's the other thing too. I was told back in February, and everybody watched shows heard me say it a million times, but for Mason, I heard that she was going to resign months ago because they're trying to splinter the Trump base to create a spoiler for the Democrats. Basically, moderate Democrats who don't like woke but hate Trump. That's why you're seeing Tucker flip. They want to create a space where moderates will be like, I'm going to vote for whatever this is. So you take the the left moderate or anti-Trump elements in the Trump campaign and create a spoiler campaign with Joe Kent, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, and Tulsi Gabbard. I was told that she was going to resign. I talked about it. I was told by people close to her and her family she would never resign. And then like 2 months after I talked about it, she resigned. And so now Tucker's launching his third party. So I don't know that I believe the rumors now that she was forced out. I still feel like they're all working together and it's just political manipulation.
To say that moderates are going to be voting for Tucker Carlson is so wild. I feel like the only people that would go to him is
the Lincoln Project.
The what?
The Lincoln Project.
They would not vote for Tucker Carlson.
There are a ton of neocons who went never Trumper and voted for Democrats who would absolutely vote for like Thomas
Tucker
Massie.
still works as like an apparatus of the Republican Party insofar as like he's still glazing J.D. Vance, preparing for that 2028 run, even though J.D. Vance has been complicit with all of the actions of the Trump admin. I mean, he went on Joe Rogan and gave like this vague sense of criticism, but even then he's like, hey, I support the president. I'm not going to go against my own administration. And it's just funny to me that Tucker's like, Donald Trump has betrayed our base. He's betrayed the movement. But I like JD. I don't know if JD would have done the same thing. It's like, okay,
Right.
dude.
But so think about what that does, though, in a 2028 run with J.D. Vance. The people who don't like Trump are not going to listen to people who support Trump the same ways they would if someone who's criticizing him.
But Tucker's going to endorse JD.
Of course. But this is the point. When there were tons of conservatives that left the Republican Party because of Trump specifically, but they didn't change all of their values. They just said Trump is an existential threat. So I will vote for a Democrat if it means stopping Trump. Tucker Carlson then comes out and says Trump is bad. These people then go, hey, Tucker's got some sense into him. Then when J.D. Vance comes in and he sounds vanilla pudding, he might pull in a decent amount of those people back. Look, even if it's 5%, that's enough to disrupt the Democrats. Let's put it this way. If they can spoiler 5%, J.D. Vance can win with substantially less votes.
JD is going to be forever attached to the actions of the admin that he's in.
What about Rubio?
I think that Rubio would do better, but I think that everything that's been shown is them gearing towards JD being the guy. Because Marco Rubio, let's say he runs in a primary against JD, he loses, he's completely fucked. He has no career left after that, at least running for president again. If he wins and he beats out JD, you're going to have people that are pissed off that they didn't go with the plan because JD's supposed to be the next guy. I don't think it's advantageous for Marco.
Calcio currently has Vance at 44 to Rubio's 20.
I think Rubio could keep his ambitions to run for president and probably be successful at being the nominee in 32.
You want to know what's weird?
I just don't think that's going to happen in 20.
You know what's really weird? You know what Marco Rubio's name means?
What does it mean?
Marco is a reference to Mars, the god of war.
Yeah.
And Rubio means red-haired. His name literally means
Ginger war.
It's like the red planet. It's the red-haired god of war. It's like,
holy shit.
You know what Donald Trump means? Donald means world ruler, and Trump means the herald sound, like the trumpet sound. Trump's name literally means the herald of the world ruler. Do you know what J.D. Vance means?
What does it mean?
Vance means dweller of the marsh. It means swamp creature. Like his people's names.
That's hilarious. What does J stand for?
James, I think.
James.
But his first name's not his name.
Yeah,
JD's not real.
Jimmy Dean. What is
It was like John
all a
David.
fabrication.
Yeah.
What is?
His
it
whole-
is.
His
James.
whole career-
I think
Trump's
James
a
is
fake-
Jacob.
So
He used
you
to
guys,
be
you
Trump.
guys aren't pretty.
Well,
pro
no,
JD?
hold on. Donald Trump was born Donald Trump.
Oh, his dad
J.D.
changed
Vance
it?
was not born, John
Fred
David.
changed it from Fred Drumpf to his dad to Fred Trump.
Let me.
thing?
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, his name used to be Drumpf.
I didn't know
That's the
that.
family name.
J.D. Vance's names was James Donald Bowman. Then it got changed to James David Hamill. Now it's James David Vance.
The dude's like the biggest chameleon ever. It's
His name was
focus
Donald.
group.
Yeah, right. And then he was anti-Trump.
Yeah, he was
Never
vehemently anti-Trump. Trump's Hitler, and then Peter Thiel like groomed him into being the candidate that he is today.
I mean, because the point was, this is how you win. You when it's redirecting the energy. You don't face the energy head on and try to stop it. You take it and you try and guide it in the direction you want it to go, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, Tom
I don't
Cruise.
know. I think Trump just messed up not getting someone like Doug Burgum. I think Doug would have done.
Bergamania.
You got Bergamania. Feel it? Michael Knowles is big on Burgum. Tom Cruise had a.
But so here's
Thomas
the
Cruise
other question, though.
Mapother. That didn't.
Who do the
sell
Democrats
very well,
have?
you know?
AOC is the front runner now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think she's gonna run for Senate. She's been like for sure posting a lot that's like getting that engagement, and she had the like famous woke one was crazy, which is she's trying to distance herself from 2020 a bit. I don't know. I honestly think John Ossoff's gonna pull a. Is he up there?
He's third right now, but here's the
He's
issue.
been saying I'm not gonna run, but like the dude is charismatic. He's from the South. He's been moderate in his like running, but he's trying to project more progressive, at least for the anti-establishment energy.
Right.
I think that he'd be a killer.
Rating them all on charisma. AOC.
She has good
she's-
charisma, but
She's the most charismatic Democrat. End of
Gaining a
story.
lot of weight though. She looks unhealthy.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's not charisma. That's more beauty. Which
No,
is like,
she's Latina.
She's going for the big booty Latina vote. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
charisma is more of a personal fervor.
No.
whereas beauty, they work in synergy.
AOC has it.
but- yeah.
More Gavin Newsom.
I'm so miserable these days.
he's gonna fizzle out. He's Ron DeSantis.
I agree. I completely agree. Ossoff has more than Newsom and makes a lot more sense, but he has VP energy. AOC has X factor. I don't see it with Ossoff.
I don't think yet. I think that
Perhaps.
there's a lot of skepticism on her ability to win over people. But what I will say is her like stunts going down to Georgia and like Trump County and helping them that are pissed off at the data centers that are literally polluting their water. That's signaling that she is trying to do that, like crossing the bridge. But I don't think that she's going to be the person that like everyone's gearing for 2028. I think she has a lot of energy though.
John Ossoff his height is weirdly debated. It's some sources say 5'9", some say 5'11". 5'11" maybe gets you there.
What's
Marco
JD? He's
Rubio's
like
short.
5'11".
No, JD's like 6 something.
And Marco Rubio's short. Is that right?
Yes.
He's
Yep.
pretty short.
Yep. JD Vance is 6'2".
Little Marco.
Yeah. Vance has it in the
6'2".
pocket.
And,
no one's gonna beat him. He
And
can't.
this is important. This is why Kamala Harris requested a smaller podium when debating Trump. This is true, because
Perception.
Yep. Because when they do the close-ups, when they do the wide, it's hard to figure out size necessarily the way they angle the cameras. But if they're next to each other, you can see the podium is smaller. But they don't do that. They do close-ups, which makes her look proportional, and it makes them both look proportionally the same.
It's genetic, man. Like he's our war commander, our military commander in chief of the military. You need a dude that's tall that can sit on top of a horse behind the troops and see over their heads. Literally, that's where this stuff comes from. So you want a tall, strong guy that can maneuver on horseback. I mean, we're kind of past that, but it's still ingrained in our genetics. So we look for these
funny.
tall
So you want
men.
someone who looks like that.
Yeah, like George Washington was super tall, and it helped him in combat.
Yeah, deep voices and height.
Like Claudia
You can hear
Scheinbaum.
from
Totally.
a distance if they
This is
yell
the-
because they have a loud, booming voice.
This is the challenge that AOC will have. Any woman running against a man is there's like, and I always say this because feminists get mad at me, but this is literally the feminist position. People inherently will be sexist towards a female candidate and just choose a man based on.
I mean, it's
I
military
think that's
command.
such like the neoliberal interpretation, and why I disagree with a lot of Democrats saying Kamala lost because of that. Like America's too racist and sexist to vote for a woman candidate. I think that it's absolutely on the issues. I think it's on the policy, and her running a campaign that wasn't really geared towards any vision, and honestly capitulated a lot to the right. She tried to like almost run to the right of Donald Trump when it comes to things like military strength, having the most lethal military in the world. She kept saying she's going to be the strong woman that makes sure that the global order stays in line. Like, I don't think that that's successful, and that's the reason why she lost, was she didn't have that vision that people actually saw in a campaign.
I think the female factor plays a role in the turnout, because we're talking about lowest common denominator. But I would agree with you. Did you see that mock debate they did where they had a man play Hillary and a woman play Trump?
No, I didn't see that.
It was a university study out of New York, and they had a mock debate, word for word, exactly the same. And a man did Hillary and a woman did Trump, and the woman won the debate. The people who were in the study, it was like they did a bunch of these debates and then surveyed everybody. They said that the Hillary character, whether male or female, was smarmy and condescending and off-putting. And the Trump figure, be it male or female, was like righteous indignation and frustration with the system.
Interesting.
So they had like a stout woman in a red dress saying, no, you did this and it was wrong and we are sick of it. And people felt that. They resonated with it even though it was a woman.
That's like the president of Italy. What's her name? Giorgia Meloni. She's a badass. That sure it's a woman. I don't care.
Remember
She's
Berlusconi?
amazing. Huh?
Remember Berlusconi?
Berlusconi?
Yes, Italy.
Never heard that word before.
And like,
I've never heard really.
What does it mean?
It was a
the
person.
guy.
Oh, no. Who
And he was notorious for having like beautiful women all around him and like
was he? The president? An Italian?
whatever the leader of Italy is. I don't know, prime minister or president or whatever, but it was like mafioso,
Oh.
machismo.
No, I wasn't familiar.
Yeah, look it up. Let me
Yeah,
pull it up.
I think if AOC was going to be the one, we'd start to see a lot more, I guess, in the next couple months, probably after the midterms. And I think we have a better tell.
Come on.
Berlusconi. It looks like Tony Soprano.
I mean, this was a long time ago, so
Cross.
I can't tell you, but
I was 11 years old.
when you have Silvio Berlusconi prostitution trial, you know,
Damn.
accused and convicted of paying a 17-year-old Moroccan
That's crazy.
prime
yeah,
minister
for sexual services.
the role as prime minister. Hey, I wanted to say about the girl from the earlier story before we
Natalie
kind of move
Harp.
away from it, Natalie. That I think I got a lot of empathy for this girl because if Trump's kind of seems to be serving as her father figure in her life, like strong male paternal figure, and like she lost her father. So I don't think it's weird how she's acting. It's just it's questionable if you should even put young women in that position. Is more.
It's just weird that you're using your employer, your boss, as that father figure role. And like clearly, I'm not like I think that she needs a lot of therapy, obviously, because she has a lot of trauma in her life. But I don't think it's helpful for the situation for that type of workplace that your boss, the person that your livelihood is dependent on, you're also viewing as this father figure with all of your heart.
I know it's a dangerous part of the job itself because if her obsession for him as a father figure outweighs her duty to do the job, that could become a real problem.
Yeah. But I think Donald Trump likes that, which is more of I think the biggest part of the story is why does Donald Trump need these sycophants around him more so than
For the same reason he needs his name in gigantic gold letters on buildings all over the world.
Yeah. It's ego.
And the bit is like when he was a little kid and he walked into like his dad's in the study reading the paper and he's a little boy and he walks and he goes, "Daddy, look, I solved the puzzle." And he goes, "Oh, it's in here again." And then the maid comes and carries him away. I don't know why Trump would have a British or North Atlantic accent like that, but it's a joke.
It's making noise.
It's making noise again. I'm sure it would be. But here's the thing, if you know Trump, you know how to get what you want. And this is what I don't understand about Democrats is all they have to do is butter him up. You
Well, what we
butter.
saw with Zoran Mamdani. Like,
Yep.
Zoran's supposed to be literally the antithesis of MAGA, and Donald Trump is enamored by him every time that they're together.
Because he says nice things about him.
Well, I don't know. Zoran doesn't really like say nice things. He's definitely cordial.
No, I mean
and he's
to
not,
him.
I don't think he even does that really, because he called him a fascist to his face. But I think what Donald Trump likes is winners. I think he likes winners more than anything. And
Yeah,
Zoran defeating a previous governor in a race where he had 1% literally 8 months before the election. I think Donald Trump sees like, okay, I respect a winner like that.
You're popular. So
More than ideology. And I think that it's
Stalin,
indicative.
too.
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt.
Kim Jong-un, great leader, love President Xi. He glorifies all of these people who are supposed to be like his adversaries. And
Well,
I
he
think it's
pissed a
because he likes
lot
power.
of people off by being nice to Zoran.
Right, he butters them
Yeah.
up because if you get he subverts too. He'll say he likes you and then backstab you. Like he's happy to do that shit. So
Yeah, I mean, he's criticized Zoran, just not to his face.
Yeah. I bring this up because I wonder if what Natalie is doing is actually just advancing her career. She knows that when she says to Trump, "I love you with all my heart," and you're the great, or not, "I love you," but with all my heart, you're such a good person, you're everything, and I'll do anything for you. She knows he's going to be like, give her a promotion, give her a raise.
100%. And how sad is it that professional development is tied to undying devotion? It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I will say I'm glad that it's out in the open, but
Better
the
than
truth
sexual
is,
favors.
yeah, but no, but I'm
Do
like,
we know that's not going on? Like, for sure.
but my point is this: like, this probably is much more common than people realize.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Of course, yeah.
People being like,
like buttering up your boss.
Yeah,
I mean, I
blowing
noticed
smoke
That's
up your
why
boss's
collective
ass.
bargaining is really important.
with
Look,
companies,
I have to do
I
it.
used to be
You
a
look at-
worker, and then I realized, if I befriend the owner, I immediately
on the show.
become at the top of the chain at the company, and they'll have me come. They'll be like, "Can you manage?
Look,
can you do this? Can you do this?"
Maybe she was
I
just
like feeling overly
hold on.
emotional.
The entire like media establishment and DC establishment was basically kissing Barack Obama's ass for 8 years. Chris, what's his name? Chris Matthews got a thrill running up his leg. This kind of like buttering up the guy in charge.
Of course.
Whether or not we find it unseemly, it's still perfectly normal.
I would love to find a single letter that says, "With all my heart, I'm so sorry that I let you down. You are the most important thing that matters to me," to Barack Obama. I'd like to find a single letter.
I would not be. I mean, like I said, we already talked about like she probably is a little bit like going a little overboard. But the idea of buttering up the boss or kissing someone's ass, that's.
But hold on. I gotta say, I bet Obama's got more of those letters than Trump does.
Not from people within his closest circle.
I don't.
And if we can
agree.
find that, I would love to bring that
on.
up because this is a unique case, which is
I don't
why it's
believe
getting
that.
so
No,
much.
wait. I agree. I think Trump's the kind of guy where people close to him are butt sniffing and giving these letters. But I think for Obama, he probably got more of those letters from people just outside the periphery. Obama was a celebrity, and he was the media buttered him up. Everybody loved him. So for different reasons, I'm willing to bet that a bunch of people wrote letters to Obama where they were like, "You're the
I mean,
best."
he still has strong influence in the Democratic Party, but it's nowhere near the same level of, again, the cultish status that Donald Trump has built on the right. Your career is dependent on how much Donald Trump views you as being loyal.
Yeah, but not anymore.
Pam Bondi, Chrissy Noem, Tulsi Gabbard.
Gone.
I don't think it.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think
because,
it's-
because he didn't view them as loyal enough.
Well,
which is
but
crazy because I
it-
feel like
it's
Chrissy
not-
Noem never said any criticism of Donald
I
Trump.
again, I don't think
Spent
it's
200, was it
significantly
$200 million on that horse ad or whatever.
Yeah, because she was incompetent.
I don't think it's significantly different than Barack Obama.
Well,
I don't. I think that this particular case, like I said, I think that she's got the whole father figure thing. Her dad died, so this case is a little bit different. But overall, people behaving like sycophants is not some kind of strange
Hold
new
on.
thing.
Obama was way more than Trump ever was.
But Obama,
in terms of public fervor and love,
Yeah.
Trump has a
Well, approval rating, sure. If we're talking
No.
control of the party, no.
Well, control of the party.
Absolutely not.
I agree with Mason. Trump's got more commanding control of who runs, the endorsements he get. His endorsements almost always win, but not
Madison
always.
just fucking won, and he has every scandal in the book.
But I think as it goes to general population, Obama had way more sycophantic love from the populace than Trump does.
that might be true, but Obama, as far as I know, didn't hire 28-year-old hot blonde chicks to be his assistants and stuff.
Agreed.
So he didn't
But-
get it on the inside.
But let's do this. In publicly, so Trump's got. I think the estimate they give is there's a 40% base of the Republican Party that we would call the Trump cult. They don't break from Trump no matter what. They can.
40? I feel like it's 33.
It might be, but it's like a third to maybe, I don't know. Let's just say 40.
What's his
let's say
approval rating
37.
right now? Like 32?
But no, not approval. No, not approval rating in general. I'm saying of Republican voters.
Of Republican voters.
There's the estimate is about 40% don't care what Trump does. They love Trump no matter what. Trump can like start a.
I feel like there's more than that.
No, man.
Wasn't
Look
there just like the poll that was like 100% of MAGA voters love Trump? Which
No.
is kinda
But
weird.
hold on.
No, that's
this
his
is
Trump
the
number.
I'm not talking about whether you would support Trump. I'm saying the cult. That is,
Gotcha.
Trump says no new wars, and Republicans and moderates who voted for Trump go, "Yay, we're voting for him." Then the Iran war starts, and you get a fraction that break away and say this is a mistake. It's going to cause us problems.
Yeah.
But there's this diehard mega cult that says, no, we're in favor of it now. Trump is right the whole time, no matter what. And they invert their position because Trump is their position. My
Isn't that
point
kind of
is
like what you guys were saying though?
about what?
On Timcast? I feel like I saw something where there was like this theory that the Iran war was meant to like strangle China and like U.S. adversaries. Is that true, or is that position changed?
How is
No,
that
that's
changing
absolutely my position. But how is that support of?
Well, isn't that saying that like there's a strategic reason why we need to do this to like hurt our adversaries?
Well, you're interpreting need.
Yeah, trying to understand what's going on is not the same.
See,
as
this is the
endorsing.
problem with the internet, right? I have a video where I literally said, "This is a failure. I'm sorry, it just is, and Trump's not going to tell you the truth about it." I understand what they're trying to do if you look at the bigger picture, but a lot of people who don't pay attention are going to scream Israel did it. But when you look at every single move Trump has made, it even predates Trump. all of this is lining up the Gulf of America, even the renaming of it, for oil exports to originate from the Gulf, from the port of Houston. That's why you've got Panama, Venezuela, Cuba. That's why you've got the attempts at the Northwest Passage, and China's oil imports are being cut off. None of that is to say it's good we did it. In fact, I literally called it a failure. Trump is now draining the SPR to levels we've not seen since 1982 to try and stabilize gas prices because our economy is screwed up. But for some reason, literally starting a video with Trump is failing and he's going to lie about this, people go, I guess Tim supports the war now. And I'm like,
I
world do we live
support
in?
in a way
seems
American
like-
military dominance. I used to think war bad, stop. But now I'm like, well, what's the alternative here? Chinese military dominance? Because it's going to be somebody militarily dominating the planet.
It just seems like that interpretation is
correct.
a part of the Trump post hoc justification for.
It's
what
not
could be,
because they're lying about it and they won't tell you this, and they're telling you it's because of nuclear weapons, which is a lie because they bombed them last year over nuclear weapons. So it's not the Trump's official line is nuclear weapons, and that's not correct.
It's legacy. I think Donald
not.
Trump wants to be the president that actually went into Iran and took them down and stopped the regime. We stopped it in Venezuela. We'll stop it in Iran. I'm going to be the president that establishes dominance.
That's a component. Don't get me wrong, but let's start from the beginning.
It's not going to be economic strangling China when
Okay, so
Americans are the ones that are also going to take the front, which you
let's
agree
start
with
with
if you think that the war is a failure.
What's
right?
happening is
The war-
everyone's losing 20%, but because we're so far ahead, our loss is still going to keep us above everyone else.
The-
They're
the-
taking
let me put it
political
like this.
suicide in the midterms and
Yes.
potentially in 2028.
They're hurting
So look at it this
everyone.
way. Okay. Let's look at it this way. Let's say you've got half a tank of gas. China's got a quarter tank of gas, and you both have to go 100 miles. Trump's like, I'm going to burn the half tank.
China's getting hurt, but it's not going to cripple them economically.
It's cut their oil by 44%. And they've implemented controls and emergency energy releases. They've switched their taxi fleets from gas to electric already.
Yeah, this
they're
is hurting the entire global
choked
economy.
out. So let's start from the beginning. This is important because people can't seem to understand it. Let me phrase it like this. Not only was I in some of these countries at the start of these conflicts, but I've been tracking this since I was a teenager and involved in the protests around Afghanistan in the Iraq War. Every day of my life reading the news about what was going on. So let's go back as far, not even as far as I can go, but we can go and this is for all the people who might watch this who don't know what's going on and assume that understanding the conflict is support for it. It is not. First, the Qatar-Turkey pipeline, my favorite story. The U.S. went to Syria and said, we want to build a natural gas pipeline from the Persian Gulf through Iraq, Syria, Turkey into Europe to offset the Gazprom gas monopoly. This is a fact. Bashar al-Assad said, no, we are allied with Russia, who has a naval base in Tartus. We are not going to allow you to build a gas pipeline that would offset our allies' control of energy in Europe. Then Syria, Russia, and Iran said, let's tap the same natural gas field, build it through Syria, and strengthen Russia's gas monopoly. Now, this is where there's a gap because I don't want to make insinuations, but surprisingly, within a year, the United States declares that Bashar al-Assad is a terrorist state, and we enter the conflict on the side of the rebel fighters.
Like 2013-ish.
So this is around 2011, actually, the start of it's the Arab Spring into the Syrian civil war. And the United States says we're going to side with the rebels, which ultimately all of them form an Islamist nightmare, which is ISIS. And they end up with weapons that were delivered by the Obama administration. The speculation, because again, I'm trying to be nice, is that the U.S. needed to remove Bashar al-Assad so we could build a gas pipeline through Syria and Turkey because, again, Russia controlled 20% of natural gas into Europe, and Europe was starting to favor Russian interests because they needed the energy. Fast forward to now we're getting into 2014, 2016. Ukraine was split between staying in the Russian Trade Federation or joining the European Union. Russia says if you join the European Union, European goods are going to flood the Russian market, so we're going to cut you off. Pick one. Unfortunately for Russia, Ukrainians were like, we'd rather be in the EU. We'll be wealthy. If Ukraine joins the EU, the Black Sea, Russia's control or access to the Black Sea would be at risk because Crimea, their only warm water port, is Ukraine. So what does Russia do? They annex Crimea, fearing that Ukraine would fall to the European Union. Also, this would compromise Gazprom. Burisma is the next component, which is how they control the price of gas in Europe. Russia's their principal export is energy. They need it for their economy. We then get the Nord Stream pipelines from Russia into Germany. One of them blows up, Nord Stream 2. Germany has accused Ukrainians of bombing the undersea pipeline that was delivering Russian gas to Germany. There's speculation that CIA frogmen were involved in this. If it is true that Ukrainians bombed our allies' pipeline in NATO, that would trigger Article 5, and the U.S. would be forced to enter the war against Ukraine. That's insane. Germany has issued an arrest warrant for the Ukrainian who they accuse of doing this. The U.S., I presume, would be on the side of Germany, but for some reason has stayed out of it. Now we get the Ukrainian conflict. Burisma. Joe Biden has his son on the board of Burisma, an energy company. Why? When we couldn't get the Qatar-Turkey pipeline into Europe, the United States shifted its resources to control of Ukraine. If we can get political dominance in Ukraine, we can stifle the Gazprom monopoly through Burisma and other energy sources if Ukraine joins the EU. Hence now, Russia is invading, sealing this land bridge to give them access to Crimea, which is it's the home of their Black Sea fleet. The Kherson Bridge was bombed, so that's not a safe means of access for Russia, and they're not going to spend $1 billion putting up a new base, in Russian territory in the Black Sea and give away their naval port. So now we have this war. Currently now, we have a problem with Israel bombing Syria, Turkey moving in Syria, when Bashar al-Assad has been forced to flee, and the U.S. interest is in getting the Syrian government to allow us to secure these pipelines. That brings us to everything we've seen in the beginning of the Trump administration. He renames the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which seems silly. He takes Venezuela. He's pacified the Caribbean by bombing these vessels, and he's surrounded Cuba, cutting them off from all energy, isolating their government, forcing a destabilization. He renegotiated the Panama deal, and he's currently trying to gain access to Greenland, which would give us military access to the Northwest Passage. Then it brings us to Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, 20% of the world's oil. I do not believe Trump is trying to take out nuclear weapons. I believe the intention is, as Trump just posted, new U.S. territory, is to create permanent control of 20% of global oil exports. Trump wants to dominate the world. Everything he's done has centered oil exporting through Houston and the Gulf of America, and now he's shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which has isolated BRICS nations, India, China particularly.
Shut down the Strait of Hormuz?
He did shut down the Strait of Hormuz. He started the war. Then the strait got shut down, and I believe that is the intended condition.
Intentional.
Yes.
Well, I think the Israelis started the war, and he joined, and I think the Israelis wanted to destroy the nuclear program, but Trump was like, well, now that we're here, we might as well control the oil. You don't think?
Israel wants to obliterate Iran, period, because Iran funds the Al-Qassam brigades, Hamas, as well as the Houthi rebels in Yemen. So Israel is basically saying these guys are the ones making the war against us.
Regime change.
We're going to destroy them. We want regime change. The United States also wants regime change in Iran. That's why we got Iraq and Afghanistan, which is a pincer strike on the Iranians. But Iran is a giant mountain. It's not easy to just take out.
Which
and the
is
U.S.
why
is struggling.
Such a failure is because the only two options left are further escalation, which are taking over the islands in an attempt to do a siege onto the mainland, which is going to fail. Unless we're really willing to obliterate most of the Iranian civilians.
They won't put.
Well, but let's define failure.
Or it's going to be just a complete surrender and give the Iranians exactly what they want, which is a restoration fund, which is giving them the reparations that they're asking for, allowing them to continue to control the strait. And we've gone from 150 or so ships that were going through Hormuz to 10 now? I think it's the latest.
And I believe that's on
updated
purpose.
number.
I read that.
Trump, see, this is what I disagree with, because your argument would be Trump accidentally destroyed the U.S. economy.
No, I think that Trump knew that there were going to be risks, but he was willing to take it because he feels this invincible, I'm the it man, I am the guy
that doesn't
that's
explain
going to tackle Iran.
20
Even though
years of U.S. foreign policy.
Well, the last presidential administrations, leading all the way back to Ronald Reagan, wanted Iran to fall. They wanted control, but they were worried of what that would do to the global economy, which is exactly what we're starting to see right now.
Agreed.
From
And
taking this risk and it being a failure.
It's not.
Didn't you say it was a failure?
Indeed. And I don't think the issue is that it's a risk. It's that Trump is not going to publicly say, we knew this would happen. Well, imagine if Trump
regardless if Trump did say that or not, it's going to be a failure amongst the American people, which is why there's such disapproval for this war.
Which is why he needs a casus belli, which is, they have nuclear weapons.
But nobody believes that.
I agree. That's why Trump is. What's he going to say? We shut down the Strait of Hormuz to strangle the BRICS nations.
It's better than a lie that nobody believes.
No,
why wouldn't he just say? Why wouldn't he just say we need American economic dominance?
Wait.
We don't want China to be able to continue to get.
You think Trump would get? Would you support Trump if he came out and said?
No.
Who would support Trump if he said we did this on purpose?
Republicans that want to see China crippled.
Yeah, but moderates and Democrats, Democrats are out, but the moderates are going to be like, screw off, we don't want war.
So you're saying the moderates approve of him saying that we're going to get rid of their nuclear weapons? I don't think the moderates buy that either.
Most people, if you have two people and you have a choice of what you're going to try to sell them on, you sell them the lowest common denominator. the existential threat of Iranian nuclear weapons is understandable by someone who doesn't pay attention. But if you go to them and say, I just choked out 20% of the global oil supply, causing a global economic crisis, and I'm now draining the SPR to make up for that loss. Why? I want to choke BRICS nations. They're going to say, go F yourself. This is your fault. And they're going to say, I'm going to vote for somebody else. So you go to them and lie and say, but they've got nuclear weapons. We have to stop them. And at least some of those people are going to go, well, I guess so.
Way less than before the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, though, because so many people are keyed into the nonsense.
Let me just say this.
Regardless of what you're
exclude-
saying is the justification, you're agreeing that this is a strategic failure.
As of this point,
right now,
this
yeah.
has been a nightmare of a conflict.
So
The SPR being drained down to what, like 100? What's it going to? It's going to 170 million barrels.
with the argument of you
Worse than Biden.
ceding to that, are you saying that in the future this is going to end up being a net positive?
That's a
If we
question
get-
of American.
If we get oil in the Gulf.
But again, that's like saying I'll put money down on a baseball team to win, and then it's like, will I make money? Well, if they win, if Trump is able to, let me simplify it. First, as I've said a million times, I'd never vote for this war. I won't support this war, but I hope the United States wins in all respects to whatever the United States is doing. The simple way to explain this plan is Trump is trying to center global oil in the Gulf of America. And that's his obsession. That's why Panama, Greenland, all of these things line up. The idea is we're going to cause 70% damage to America and 80% damage to China. China gets half of its energy imports in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. is an oil exporter. This is Trump's plan. But you're never going to go, especially in a midterm year, and tell the American people, you want to know why you can't afford your gas right now, or why eggs cost so much money, or why the economy's in a downturn? I did that. They're going to be like, okay, I'm voting for somebody else. So he's going to come out and lie and say they've got nuclear weapons. We have to stop them.
Yeah, I just think the American people already understand that it is Trump's fault, which is why his disapproval is so large right now.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But again, he's not going to come out and say, hey, my approval rating should go down.
Right.
He's going to lie to try and bolster this military failure.
I'm not I don't hate on him for lying, because sometimes you're the commander in chief of military. Your job is to subvert and lie to the opponents. The problem is when you start lying to the domestic population because the rest of the world's watching, so you have to. Otherwise,
Or you
they'll-
say that Americans' financial status does not even take, like, what did he say to the press? He's like, I don't even think about Americans' financial state when I'm making these decisions. I'm
Right.
the president. Everyone has to deal with it.
So here's the important understanding of why I would call this a failure. Draining the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to try and keep gas down in the United States, that is when you are failing. Our Strategic Petroleum Reserve is not for gas prices. It is for when we are threatened, we are at war, and we need energy to fight back. For Trump to have started this war, and again, with pressure from Israel, no doubt, to now be at a point where we have to drain something like we're going for like 40% of the SPR to the point where they're saying it's going to damage the caverns.
looking for the numbers. I don't.
Biden did this. Biden drained the SPR because our oil prices were screwed up, and this is not what it is for. Trump refilled it early on, but now we're draining it again to choke out the Strait of Hormuz. If, however, Trump's gambit does work, which I'm not confident in, we will be in a down period for some time. Perhaps in 4 or 5 years, the United States will see some benefit from this. The simple way that the media likes to say it is short-term pain for long-term gain. My response is no casus belli, no war. We, the United States, do not start wars for the purpose of damaging other countries economically to improve our economic situation 5 years later. This is not what we voted for. It's not what our country should be doing to succeed. And right now, it's pissing everybody off. And it's pissing me off because I can see it in the prices of everything we do.
Yeah.
And if the president's going to come out and lie about what's really going on, I think that is also a big problem. That being said, I understand governments lie and those with power take power. There is a possibility that in the end, we get substantial economic damage from this, but we destroy BRICS. And then we feel good about it 10 years later. Right now, people are suffering. The economy is bad. It is palpably bad. And I do not feel that we have there's a justifiable reason to be involved in this. There's two principal camps on the surface. Israel forced us to do it, and we had nuclear weapons. We had no choice, both of which are half-truths. You have to look at the big picture of the past 20 years with the Qatar-Turkey pipeline and all the actions in the Gulf of America, especially with Venezuela. And it's all about Again, we're going to cause pain to the Americans today in hopes that in the next 5-10 years, we're energy dominant and China's not.
Oh, man, and technology is advancing so rapidly. They'll be using non-petroleum based energy fuel sources by then. That's the crazy part.
I don't think so.
You don't think
I think that no, absolutely not.
Dude, the Chinese are
you are completely wrong, Ian, because what you don't understand is that petroleum is the means of controlling populations. If we allow anyone to develop fusion technology, they will get off the petrodollar. We will blow them up.
Weapons is the means to control domestic populations. The fuel will give you
No.
to forge weapons, but it's
no. Weapons are the last resort of conflict that are no guarantee.
I think it's the main thing that you use to control people.
If everybody needs gas and gas prices,
when is the tipping point when we're done using non-renewable energy sources?
I don't think at least
non-renewable.
No, the
liberal
makes oil.
The liberal
uses carbon constantly and keeps making new oil.
And in perpetuity,
we're not going to run out.
We continue to expand.
We're not going to run out because they're also synthesizing it. The issue is the liberal economic order. The United States hegemonic system is predicated on the petrodollar. Ain't no way Trump or the military-industrial complex gives that up.
Right, but the Chinese don't give a shit about that. They want the alternate.
Which is why if they get close to getting off of that, war will start.
Like if they start using
Thucydides'
hydrogen.
trap, bro.
And also, most of most of China's military machine still runs on oil. Like they do have, some electric powered drones or whatever, but all their ships and stuff, most of them are they're diesel ships still.
I think
most of their tanks and stuff like that, they're all run on some kind of petroleum product.
The future of warcraft, just with technological innovation, is going to be so much different. And I think even in the next 15 to 20 years.
Well,
with the advent of AI and just
that's why I brought up
attacks,
that's why I brought up like batteries and stuff, because drones are going to run off batteries, right? And so drones are going to be a major part of the future of warfare. But still, you're talking about, like, if you're dealing with missiles, like, sure, there are solid rocket boosters and stuff, but if you're talking about anything that has an engine, it's all running off of it's all running off of diesel.
The energy output of oil is better than everything, and you're not going to get a microfusion reactor for a car.
Well, hydrogen's pretty lightweight.
They've tried that, though. It's volatile and it's hard to produce and ship, and the underlying energy source for hydrogen is still oil.
Petroleum.
Have you seen any
very volatile?
Have you seen any significant infrastructure move towards hydrogen?
No, the whole industry is suppressing it.
Exactly.
But they're not going to do it.
The Chinese
that's why
out of this industry.
This is a component of why Trump is like, we're going to burn them to the ground. The United States, the military-industrial complex, the Western powers are not going to let BRICS run away with energy outside the petrodollar.
We're talking about the future of warfare. The German blitzkrieg was people didn't understand that you could drive tanks through a mountain 3 days straight because that had never existed before.
The blitz was on London, wasn't it?
It was the blitzkrieg was through the Ardennes forest in eastern France. The Germans came with tanks and they took like amphetamines and stayed up for days and they drove these tanks which had never been seen.
They're all dudes up,
woods.
coked up, and just rolling.
They conquered Paris in like 2 weeks. The Chinese could attack from straight above.
Real quick, wait. The Blitz was a bombing campaign by Nazi Germany and Italy against the United Kingdom.
Look at the Blitz.
I think, Ian, you're talking about the book Blitzed.
No, Blitzed is a Norman.
Blitzkrieg is a generic term.
Yeah,
Germans use it, means lightning warfare.
Yes, lightning warfare. The
Blitz specifically was
on
on
the
the
Ardennes
UK.
forest attack. It started off the war against France.
Just to clarify, because the Blitz was against was a bombing.
They were a
campaign.
total peace, sneak attack. The Germans attacked France out of nowhere. They blasted through the woods, an undefended area, because they thought it was impossible. We can never be attacked here.
Yeah, was it the Maginot Line?
The Maginot Line was their expected attack defense area, but south of that was these dense mountain forests, and they're like, no one's coming through dense mountain forests, but the tanks could. So these drones can come from straight above. They can knock out our oil supply. They can knock out our big cities all at once. If our communication systems go out, who thinks they're going to win? Like, you can't win if you've just been.
Did you know that the U.S. has something like 400 fake nuclear silos?
Good.
You know why?
Fake to get sneak attack on the wrong spot.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
It's crazy. Well, so I think the most important thing to understand is two things. Biological warfare is a component of the future of warfare, but psychological. Actually, I just had a great conversation with the AI guy, and that's going to come out on Sunday at the Tim Pool Show. Check it out. But he mentioned that he had a really great point. He said, if you went back to the late 1800s, 1890, and asked someone to envision the future of warfare, what will the weapons look like? Most people would get it wrong. But the smartest
cannons in the sky,
gigantic cannons, bigger than I've ever seen. However, they still had at this time they had a general understanding of atoms. It was very rudimentary. They just knew that they didn't know anything about it. And if somebody could theorize as to what it might look like, they may have gotten it right. In fact, he said H.G. Wells wrote about atomic weapons that were heat rays. The interesting thing is, the Manhattan Project, a lot of conspiracy theorists think nobody knew. It's not true. I got the Life magazines. We can read them. Everybody knew the U.S. was building a weapon. 300,000 people working on it, but nobody knew what the weapon was. That's compartmentalization. There were theories that it was a nuclear bomb, an atomic bomb, potentially a heat ray. Nobody knew for sure, but they knew a weapon was being made. A heat ray was one of these things. Now, what he said was, one of the areas of science that
A heat ray, like a laser?
like a laser, like
they didn't know.
They didn't understand, like in the public, they didn't know what atomic technology could do. And then we found out when we blew up Japan. He said, like psychology,
Nuclear bombs kind of big, right?
like neurology. These are the things that we know we're lacking. We don't understand exactly how the brain works. And when AI starts to map the brain, we are going to have psychological weapons, literally the ability to program a thought through visual or like audio manipulation. So an example of this, did you guys know that there's an LED device that is marketed to police that they point at you like a gun and it flashes lights that will make you vomit?
Called a dazzler.
The dazzlers blind you.
Oh, okay. No.
Dazzlers are high-powered lasers that they can flash you in the eyes, and it shocks your eyes for about 30 seconds. But there's a device that can flicker LED.
They have like sound devices they use too.
They use the LRAD devices.
LRADs.
But specifically on psychology, the strobe light somehow causes it nauseates you. And then it makes it hard for you to function, and some people vomit.
It's called LED incapacitato.
Yes. And they've been marketing these for a long time. If AI starts mapping out how the human brain works, they could theoretically make sounds that will elicit insane emotions, depression. Imagine you're out in a protest and they blast the depression beam, and then everyone just falls down crying uncontrollably, and they don't understand why. Things like that. Taking out an entire city by playing a sound from a blimp that makes all the soldiers just start crying and collapsing.
Or on their own radios or their own TVs,
Yep.
and they don't even, or their phones start playing a music, and everyone's like,
I like the point about giant cannons. If you go back, because there's this really funny art of the year 2000 that was written in like 1908, and firefighters had mechanical wings, and it showed them pedaling and flapping wings while they flew above buildings, spraying them down, because the understanding of technology was mechanical and steam powered. So when you start there and then make something better, it's something like a guy pedaling wings. Whereas once you understood atomic nuclear energy or whatever, computing, then all of a sudden the door is open
I
to
think
things
it's
you've
like in technology they call it miniaturization. It's like making smaller yet more effective pieces of things, weapons, and like gene editing. My God, if they can go in there and snip your RNA code and replace it with like a sound or a chemical in your food or something, or like a bug that's been released into the environment.
French postcard. They're wearing wing backpacks and they're flying around to put fires out.
They're still trying to make jetpacks and stuff.
Isn't it crazy?
The ladder's gone. That's the only improvement.
Yep.
Like, there's still a steam engine train, but they're like, firefighters will fly.
Yeah.
Like how there's like a 50-foot hose.
Yeah.
This is kind of like, I understand the near-term
You guys
desire
got an
to
axe.
stifle Iran and control the petroleum, but do they not think far ahead, or is it just there's no other choice? Like, if we don't take evasive action right now, in 6 years, the Chinese petroleum-based economy will dominate the AI space. They have the productions. They are poised to take Taiwan for chip production. You don't think that they're...
Petroleum's not going to be a major factor when it comes to AI, data centers. It's going to be nuclear, possibly renewals. But honestly, I think that if Musk can get data centers into space, everyone's going to follow him, because there's endless amounts of light. They can do radiated heating and stuff, get rid of the heat that way. If he can figure it out, a lot of companies are going to follow suit.
Check this out. LED incapacitator. A light-emitting diode incapacitator weapon designed like a flashlight, extremely bright, rapid, well-focused series of differently colored random pulses. It can cause intracranial pressure, headache, nausea, vomiting, disorientation, irritability, and visual impairment to the target.
I said incapacitato because
That's
it was cutting
crazy.
off the R. Yes.
Incapacitator.
Potato, incapacity.
Italian
My phone
version.
was too small.
There's also, I lament the discontinuation of the laser-induced plasma channel.
Yeah, we got to make more of them to charge the sun at the very least.
What?
We got to send hydrogen into the sun so it doesn't keep.
We cannot nearly charge the sun with the energy we have on Earth.
We got to build a big one.
The sun is our battery. So a laser-induced plasma
a
channel
battery, but yeah.
uses a high-powered infrared laser to superheat the air in a straight line, creating a path of least resistance for a high electrical charge. Effectively, it's a lightning gun. So the question is, that was asked, they were doing this at Picatinny Air Force Base. How can I, it's like, look, I'm sitting right here, and I want to electrocute that guy over there. What do I do? Well, the problem is the way electricity works is it's a net positive negative charge. It's going to jump to the path of it's going to follow the path of least resistance to balance the charge. So if you have a high powered electrode, it's just going to hit the ground. It's going to go straight to the ground. But if you fire an infrared laser first, then the supercharged pathway from that laser is the easiest path. The electricity just goes straight through it. So you, within a split second, like a millisecond, nanosecond, you infrared laser on, electrode on, and it blasts the target with a lightning bolt.
Requires too much power to make it
Unwieldy, you can't transport it, and who cares? We'll blow you up with a bomb.
And if they're building it, they wouldn't tell us. It's
Tasers.
Oh, no. This was a discontinued weapon. That's how we know. And you can actually make little ones.
Trust the government. What's that?
Trust the government.
Yeah,
They
definitely
make
discontinued
little
this
ones.
project, just like they discontinued MK Ultra.
And making new.
So what I will just say on the foreign policy thing is one of the most difficult things about this is that most people don't know anything about what's been going on internationally, don't understand the cause and effect of the. And I'll put it like this: the Qatar-Turkey pipeline, where I start, is still 50 years late in the game. It's reductive all the way to the bottom.
You want to go back to the British oil in Iran, them trying to control.
Exactly.
The
This goes back to the
World
Shah.
War
This goes
I.
back to 79.
I mean, really, it goes back to 1920. I mean, back to
So the challenge, of course, is that a friend of mine, this liberal guy, just sends me all this stuff all the time, and every argument about the war with Iran, it's like it started today, and like we went here because Israel did this. Like, well, there's a handful of questions. Why did Israel do it? Then there's a handful of questions. Why did Iran do it? There's a handful of questions. What were we trying to do with oil in the Gulf, right? The questions go back much, much further today. This war did not start overnight. And the issues that people are citing, it's like looking at the tip of the Empire State Building and saying that's where the building starts. That's the foundation.
I have on good information that you're a Israeli shill, actually.
Oh,
And you
yeah.
take all of your orders from Bibi himself.
Here's
I'm
my
sure.
question about
His name's Alex Jones. What's
when
going on with that whole feud?
When we talk about like
I went on Jubilee, and my name was trending nonstop, and people want to put my name on X to hit the trend and get more access.
You think Alex Jones talked about you because of Jubilee?
Absolutely, yeah,
Really?
yeah. Tons of people.
What's his criticism of you? That
I mean, there's no real one. Tim Pool is paid by the Russians and Israel. Alex Jones cites RT. I never do. Like they literally put Russian sources on their coverage. He's just literally, I'm going to post Tim's name as much as possible. It gets me traffic.
I want to ask you if you agree, because what happens is high-profile show, huge audience. Do you have a responsibility now? Because you have a lot of people listening to you. I wonder, because like we'll talk about this war and the horrors and like the tactics, and like if I don't speak out against what I think the Israelis are doing, colonizing Gaza, which I have a lot of issues with. Am I actively supporting it because I'm not speaking out against it? And I think that's what's Alex is like. You're not doing enough to stop it. Where you're just commenting that it's happening, and you're not like denouncing it,
Ian,
and therefore you support it. You agree with that?
I think that if you have a political show, you should be direct about what your political opinions are.
But to what point? Because sometimes being too overt can get you killed.
So what?
So it's better to stay alive and change the system than to get slaughtered because you were too dumb
How
to
do you
keep
change
it
the
in.
system by being quiet?
Yeah.
By changing systems in the background.
No.
But what does that mean as a
We're not in the
legislator?
background. Ian.
Technologies that have free software built into the code, building sensors that can detect incoming weaponry that they don't know you have, like things like giving people the opportunity to grow their own food.
We are not a data center. We're a megaphone.
Well, we're a little bit of both.
If we have a responsibility,
Yeah, maybe if you make one more Claude game, that could change.
have you seen all the ones I
Change the
made with
future.
like Fauci vaccinating
Oh
people?
no, I didn't
and,
see that. I just
Yeah.
saw the one you were playing when I came
Oh
in,
no,
the
I
Minecraft
made one where you're Hassan and you electrocute your dog. I made one where you're Netanyahu and you have to throw money at members
Electrocute.
of Congress.
You electrocute the dog.
You electrocute the dog.
Yeah.
I made one. You play Netanyahu and you got to bribe members of Congress by throwing money at them. I made one where you're Fauci and you got to vaccinate people. And then I made one that was a hybrid of all of them, where you play Hassan's dog firing vaccines at his ass at members of Congress.
Like I'm in
One more
Riveting
game.
stuff.
Anyway, Ian, the point is this: if we are to do our jobs to positively affect the world, it is speaking about all of it. There is no back room here at Timcast. We do not work in the administration.
Well, that's what I'm confused on what your criticism is. You're saying that Tim should be more overt about his criticisms of Israel?
No,
Or
it
what-
Well, I'm
should
not
be
saying you
less.
should. I'm wondering that if you don't become overt about what your deep criticisms are, that you become then complicit in allowing it to happen.
I think that if that's your goal as a show is to change the narrative or change conversations or get people to think differently, then yeah, you should be overt about that. But you're saying that he's not doing that.
Well, I don't. Sometimes I keep things in because I don't want to become an easy target.
He's
for the-
projecting how he feels on a situation completely unrelated.
Yeah, like I think maybe that's Alex's criticism. I'm trying to figure
Alex
out
Jones-
Steelman what he's concerned
Ian,
about.
Hassan Piker, Destiny, and Alex Jones did not all decide to talk about the same at the same time because they just discovered a criticism.
No,
It's
I
because
think you're right that
Jubilee
you were in
put
the
out a
news.
video that got a bunch of traffic.
Dude, look how
and it was
influential Jubilee is.
it is. It's massive.
Also, it's just been on my mind a lot about the banality of evil. It comes up from time to time. About
you're projecting
good men that sit by and
that
do
feeling
nothing
onto
as
something
evil
unrelated.
occurs are part of complicit of the evil, and I understand that philosophy.
It's not. You're misunderstanding. The banality of evil is when you do nothing and you just go along with the evil.
Right.
Yet when you are ideologically look, we are overt on this show and actively involved in the culture war. There's no banality of anything here.
Oh man, like I don't know about screaming about how horrible colonization and genocide is could actually help or change it. I don't know if it really can. Like the war machine is in motion.
What do you mean?
Like being like, hey, Israeli
How is culture
settlers, are
formed?
you really murdering young children to take their houses? I don't know, but are you? Like, I want to see it. And if you are, I don't talk about that every day. Like, even though I think it might be happening. And does that make me complicit in it?
No. This is why these people are called conspiratards. Does Israel do bad things? Yes, they do. A lot. Are they trying to take the West Bank? You bet. And Trump got a lot of money to that end. Are there bad things happening with China and the Uyghur Muslims? Yes. Are there bad things happening in South Sudan with U.S. involvement? Absolutely. Are we going to which conflict do you want to ignore, Ian, to maximize your good?
All.
So the point
everything
is,
outside of my bubble. Really,
the point
I want to
is,
focus on the farm.
we on this show have talked about China. We've talked about Burma. We've talked about Kashmir. We've talked about Iran, Israel, Gaza, Sudan, all of it. And you see, the issue is people who live in isolated worlds get mad at you if they aren't the center of your world. So if we only talk about Israel twice a month, that's not enough. And if we talk about the Uyghur Muslims one time, it's why aren't you talking about Israel? At the same time, if we don't talk about the Uyghur Muslims, we get messages of people, if we talk about Israel too much, they say, who cares about Israel? Why aren't you talking about what China's doing? Taiwan's next. The Uyghur Muslims are being raped and forced to have abortions. There is no winning with these people. And right now, there is money to be made on these social platforms to join whatever is getting the most clicks. And the reality is, Israel is a hot button issue for most of the world because there's a lot of countries that are Muslim. You are going to get a bigger viewership talking to the world about a conflict they care about than what Americans are interested in. So let me just wrap it up by saying, to the point you're trying to make, Alex Jones, Hassan Piker, and Destiny did not all decide just on Monday they had criticisms of me. They always did. But why did they all make videos that one day? Could it be that on Sunday I was on Jubilee and my name was trending on social media? Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
So you put my name, you're going to get clicks. And next week it'll go away. And they'll be talking about something else.
I mean, do you think it's manufactured and artificial, or do you think it's just because it's relevant in the news? Like talking about you as a moderate.
I think it's both. So for some people, this is the trending story. I'm going to talk about it. So I don't say that derisively. I think if I am the news, then I am the news, right?
And that's just what we did right before this, right? We talked about breaking news and what's most relevant.
Exactly.
That's what you do on a news show.
Completely agree. That's
It
why
seems
I'm
like
not
it's almost like you're
chastising
labeling it as like adversarial, like these people are coming for me just because it makes them money.
I'm not saying that all of these people are coming for me. I'm saying if I'm the news, I'm the news.
Gotcha.
That's the point. People are going to talk about what's trending. So people are like, how come all of a sudden people are just ragging on you on Twitter, Tim? And I'm like, because I'm trending. Like,
Yeah, I mean, Alex's criticism is it's just interesting that you're like a shill taking calls and taking orders from BB. I'm just like, where is he getting that from?
he's making it up.
Because I don't watch InfoWars or whatever it is now.
See, Alex is doing the grift game. That's just it. He's saying he wants to have a bare knuckle boxing match. This is not real, right? Destiny critiquing my performance on Jubilee, understood. Destiny's was good. Hassan's was just, haha, look at Tim walking off or whatever, which is like, the intended condition of a Jubilee show, right? Destiny News was actually critiquing the conversation, which I can respect that. You don't got to agree with me. Alex is just trying to fight me because he knows there's not going to be a fight and he knows it's sensational. He made a video where there's lightning striking behind him and he's like, I'm going to take you down. Oh, baby, Netanyahu, we're going to fight. And then people like the entertainment. They like watching Alex rip his shirt off.
Gotcha.
That's just not real politics. So,
yeah, I mean, I've
haven't
never
muted-
seen Alex as like a good contributor to the conversation, but I do think that, I mean, I saw it trending on Twitter when he's talking about you. That was
Right.
like the last thing I saw.
and that's the thing, right? Alex's pylon is very interesting because I'm not entirely convinced it's just the trending thing, because I don't believe that Tucker, Candace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Alex all just changed their opinions overnight.
Well,
I don't see that as realistic.
weren't they consistent?
No.
You don't think it's consistent for someone like Tucker to be like, I'm very isolationist in my foreign policy, and now that Donald Trump has completely abandoned that, I'm going to be more
It
critical?
wasn't, though. I mean, Trump, so when Tucker was on Fox News, he apologized for his earlier positions for being pro-war and,
Yeah, he was a
back in
big
the day.
Bush supporter, Iraq.
Do you know who Miriam Adelson is?
No. Yeah.
Sheldon Adelson is a Jewish guy, and he was a big
They're big
supporter.
investors, right?
He died. I believe he died. Miriam Adelson with the money. It is estimated about $100 to $150 million allocated toward Trump victory in 2024 for support of Israel, rumored to be the annexation of the West Bank.
Right.
Tucker Carlson knew this and talked about it quite a bit. Now he's going, I can't believe this is happening. Had I known, I mean, I wouldn't have supported him. I apologize. Like, oh, come on, bro. And then his brother literally says right after this, maybe Miriam Adelson's money was for something. And Tucker goes, because he knows exactly what he was doing. That is not sincere. And then Candace is just whatever the women of TikTok want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Tucker, it definitely is like, it seems like he's trying to capitulate to a subsection of the MAGA movement that are pissed off right now.
Oh, that's not MAGA.
Yeah, I think so.
Nick Fuentes' crowd was never MAGA.
It's not. He's not just capitulating to groypers. There's a lot of people that were in the MAGA camp that were like, I'm going to support this because anti-war. I'm not even a conservative, but
The
he's more
libertarian
anti-war than Democrats. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that was one of my biggest issues, is that Trump's first term, we didn't get any war. No new wars. In fact, we got the Abraham Accords. Now we get war with Iran prolonged with no end in sight, and he keeps claiming he's winning when he's not, and our prices are in the gutter. It's not good. And
How
draining
long
the
till Cuba?
and was it?
How long till Cuba?
7 months.
Oh, not even. I mean, they're surrounding Cuba because Cuba's going to collapse. That's the point. And then they, like Venezuela, right? The issue right now, not to relitigate what we literally talked about, but draining the SPR is the greatest sign of oops. That's where it's like, uh-oh. The SPR is not for what they're doing. And so this is not good.
Yeah, it was
Sooner
bad
or
when-
later, it's going to be I'll leave it at that. Point
It was
Before we
bad
move
when
on to the
Biden
next
did it,
one.
and it's bad. It's bad when
Biden did it, and it was really bad. And Biden did it to stabilize prices. Now we have Trump doing it. It is bad. It is a sign of desperation. And draining the SPR below 300, this is a crazy story.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely crazy.
not a good thing at all. And I think to your point, like as much as you try to give analysis, there are going to be people that are going to say, well, if you're not telling me what I want to hear or telling me what if you're not satisfying my emotional reaction to this, then you must support it.
But this
happens all the time.
This is my point. Ultimately, is I feel like most people are looking at the 70th floor of the Empire State Building and going, that's the foundation. And I'm like, bro, there is so much more underneath it that's going on. This is why I can't stand the Israel derangement people. It's like no other region in the world exists. No other conflict, no other financing, no other funding. We've given more to Ukraine in 2 years than we've given to Israel in 50.
To be fair, they're consistent, right? They're like, nope, everything's Israel. And when you're that hyper focused on one issue and blame essentially everything. I mean, look, the people that are like, oh, I'm anti-Israel, a lot of times they blame all the woke stuff that's going on Israel or on Jews and stuff, ignoring the fact that like the revolution, the French Revolution, was motivated by the exact same things that are motivating the people today in the woke, the revolution in the Soviet Union was motivated by the same thing that was going on in the French Revolution. This is not just about Jews or Israel.
Well,
the way that they characterize it, it's always the Jews.
I'm going to pull in this chat, even though it's not a chat point yet, because Slick makes a point. It matters because the country in question has unwavering support amongst the majority of those in D.C., and it's a result of bad theology gripping a large voting bloc. So, agreed. However, Ukraine has more support, or at least did for the past several years. And Ukraine had its president come to our Congress where they waved Ukrainian flags, and they gave Ukraine more money in 2 years than we gave Israel in 50. I don't want to give Israel money. Their problems are their problems, and I don't like the U.S. being dragged into wars because Israel's got issues with Iran and they're fighting a war. Let's not be involved. However, if I'm going to triage this, I have to point out, if we keep up funding for Ukraine the way we do for Israel, we imagine how much money we'll have dumped into Ukraine if this war persists for a decade.
God.
It is insane.
Yeah.
We are at 25x the expenditure on Ukraine, with members of Congress waving their flag, with Americans putting Ukrainian flags in their bios. Now, I will say this. With the expansion of the Ukrainian war targeting Iran, Trump getting us involved in this war, I wouldn't vote for it. I don't want it. But we can't lose. That's just it. For all the problems we have, it's been this way for most of my life. When we got involved in Iraq and Afghanistan when I was a teenager, my position is the same. Bad leadership, shouldn't be involved. They lied to us, but we have to get out cleanly and minimize the damage to the country. Yeah. So the U.S. needs to succeed. Well,
we are either escalation or we're going to surrender.
And the purpose of surrender is, if we back off, it's to minimize damage. So if we're going to exit, it should be to minimize damage, and I would consider that at this point success.
But the Iranians are a regime right now that has a 1 million-man army that's willing to sacrifice everything for the current regime that Donald Trump wants to collapse. Mm-hmm. In what way do we surrender in a fashion where Iran doesn't get everything that they want?
Well, agreed. My point is, we have to look at what's on the table and minimize the damage as we get out. Like the point is, it is going to be
possible. The only way that we
the phrase "minimize the damage," like even if there's a lot of damage, the phrase "minimize the damage" means do whatever is going to have the least amount. Not saying that there's not going to be damage. Not saying that this was a good idea. Not saying anything. Like just the phrase that Tim's using, "minimize the damage." There is absolutely a possible way to do it. It's just that it's not going to be
the most
good.
Minimal damage is going to be the Iranians get what they want. That's really going to be.
I think that's already the case. Now, what I will say is, yes, but we did kill 50 of their top leadership, and
the
really
regime still hasn't collapsed.
Agreed.
The idea of cutting off the head and the rest of it falls is just
completely wrong.
Inaccurate with this.
And it was funny because who was it? Was it Eric Prince who warned about this a long time ago? Mm-hmm. He's like, it's a gambit. You're flipping a coin if you're going for Iran because you don't know. And these people are ideologically fervent. This is.
The crazy part
there is no regime change in Iran. It's just not going to happen. You need decades to make something like that happen.
It just everyone loses in this scenario. It's been a complete strategic failure. Even the neocons are pissed off now. Like the MLU that was proposed is literally just the JCPOA light. Like it's everything that Barack Obama wrote in the Iran deal. They're pissed off. I talked to Will Chamberlain on Piers Morgan. He's pissed off. He wants more escalation. The people who are anti-war is like, we need to stop this at all costs. We shouldn't have even gone into this in the first place. It's just they've shot themselves in the foot in both angles.
And again, I think I don't think it was a mistake. I think that like Hegseth, these guys, they all knew that war meant the Strait of Hormuz got shut down, and I think they like it.
You're saying it's not. It was their intention, is what you're saying.
I will say
it is a mistake.
They knew it would close the strait, and they're happy the strait closed. I do not believe the Iranians are the ones closing the strait. The U.S. has the blockade.
It's a crazy admission that they're happy for the economic plight of Americans.
I completely agree. That's not a crazy.
And they're happy for their own political.
It's not an admission. It's an accusation.
Okay.
This is what annoys me about politics is like I say on the Jubilee show, first of all, white supremacists are not a component of the Republican platform, but white supremacists did vote for Trump, hoping that ICE would kill migrants. And then what do we get from liberals? They post Tim Pool admits. I'm accusing them. I am criticizing them. I am criticizing the Trump administration of lying to the American people to engage in a war to cut off 20% of global oil, which is damaging to the U.S. economy because they hate BRICS and it's part of a larger conflict.
I have a feeling that most of the top brass of the U.S. military did not want this and was like, please don't, please don't. Oh my God.
No way.
Oh my God.
No way, dude.
The German dude, when Hitler invaded France, all of his military men were like, do not go into Europe. Do not fight Europe. You will lose. We are winning. We are annexing the East. Do not. And Hitler was like, I have a bone to pick with France because I fought them in World War I. He was obsessed.
Ian, the situation in Germany, 80 years ago, is not the same as the
It's a
situation.
situation where the military commander had a different motive than all the military commanders.
Yeah, but okay, so hold on a second. But you already said, I have a feeling. What evidence do you have to
Well, it was an
support that?
unwinnable conflict. None of them.
No. What? But
advocated.
hold on. Listen.
Phil, Hitler came to him in a dream.
I'm accusing them, Phil.
Well,
an
you
accusation.
said I have. You said I have a feeling. I'm asking.
I have a
well played.
feeling.
Let me finish, dude. You said you have a feeling. What evidence do you have? Like,
Because
what is
none
it?
of them have spoken up positively about it.
Okay.
They're all just doing their job with their heads down, and the troops are suffering.
No,
like, no military
Ian.
commander is glad that their dudes are losing morale on an aircraft carrier.
Yes, that is all very, very bad. The top levels, though, I'm pretty sure they're on
You
board.
think they want this?
Yes.
I don't think Trump wants this anymore.
Not anymore, probably, because it hasn't gone
Well-
the way that he'd hoped.
Again, the question is the BRICS play the bigger play? With Ukraine bombing Iranian ships, is the BRICS play the bigger play? And that's and again, Ukraine bombing Iranian vessels, and people are like, no, this is about Trump and Iran. This is about everything.
Oh shit, that sounds like the beginning of a world war. If the Ukrainians are attacking the Iranians,
You know that, right? Ukraine,
Got a little bit of cross-contamination.
Ukraine, which is separated by a massive body of land from the Caspian, bombed Iranian ships in the Caspian.
calling in the allies now. I see.
Ukraine was bombing because Iran was sending weapons to the Russians. So Ukraine bombed Iranian ships, and Ukraine is basically operating under U.S. command.
And they've got all this high-tech drone weaponry.
The question ultimately is, at what point does China enter the fold?
If
cut
we
off
take
from
Cuba, if we take Cuba, they'll take Taiwan. They'll try.
Well, actually, the U.S. just pulled our last carrier from the Pacific into the Indian Ocean because of the Strait of Hormuz, and now China could move on Taiwan, and we're way too far away. So again, this is a massive gambit, which the rate of success looks like it's going to be single digits of that.
I know.
So ultimately, back to the culture war point is, this is why. So when I'm talking with Jubilee, right, they said, how do we label this? Tim Pool. And I said, honestly, I had no idea. If you call me a conservative, conservatives will get mad. If you call me liberals, liberals will get mad. Moderate, liberals will get mad. Conservatives will say, okay. And so they said, we'll A/B test it. We'll put moderate, we'll put Tim Pool. And then Tim Pool ended up winning. And liberals still got mad. They said, there's no way he's a moderate. And then what happens is, I can be like, the war in Iran is bad. And then Alex Jones comes out and goes, Tim Pool wants the war and he endorses it. And then liberals go, Tim Pool admits it. And I'm like, I've been criticizing it from day one. Everybody is fake, and they're all lying, and it's all fake and gay. That's what it is.
Psychological warfare.
It's just people
Whether
getting
intentional
clicks. They
or
don't
not.
care. They don't care about what's true or not. Like, I can literally be sitting down. It was really funny. Destiny had a really great take. I actually appreciated this one. He's like, when I don't think it was you. I don't know if it was you. It was the other guy it was the other guy. When I said white supremacists voted for Trump hoping that ICE would shoot migrants, Destiny busted out laughing, being like, they have no response to this. They have no idea what to do when someone like Tim Pool says, yeah, white supremacists want to kill migrants, because they don't understand. They live in this political binary. And I'm like, I completely agree.
Yeah. What did you get away from the Jubilee event?
It was interesting. I think that, like, when you say you're a moderate, is that like in the literal sense or in like Trump's going to win by like 49 state landslide sense? Like, which one?
So what do you mean by his Trump? Like
I'm just trying to understand like the language of Timcast. I know.
can you give me the context on the 49 state landslide? What does
Yeah,
that
didn't
mean?
you say like Donald Trump's going to win by a 49 state landslide?
No.
Which I could say is like an exaggeration.
I never said that.
Never?
No.
Interesting.
See, this is the funny thing about the world you live in.
I'd love to
look
see
it up.
the
Sure.
clip that I saw.
You want to know what I
Ask
said?
ChatGPT.
Okay.
If Trump brought Andrew Yang as economic advisor and Tulsi Gabbard as national security advisor and then legalized pot and pardoned everybody for marijuana, he's going to win a 49 state landslide.
And right.
And then the people you watch cut out the insane hypothetical of how to actually win the American people over, like legalizing pot.
Gotcha.
And then run a clip you see and you go, Tim thinks he's going to win. And then I said something like, Moody's Analytics put out a chart claiming Trump would win a 49 state landslide. Wow, that's crazy. And then they run those clips and you go, I can't believe Tim would say that.
But
and
I
then
just don't think that you believe that, right?
And
Do
then
you actually believe that?
that Trump would win a 49 state landslide? Of course not.
Right.
But when I'm reading,
But when you bring up something, you're like, wow, that's crazy.
So-
To your
so if
audience
I'm-
of 12 million people, you don't
so-
think people are going to walk away thinking that?
no, I
that's
think
something that you
liberals are
think?
liars for clicks.
Gotcha.
And then people like you don't look into it. So when
I'm asking questions, Tim. I don't.
just
that's
asking
fine.
questions.
Looking
But
at
I'm,
it
make,
right
but
now
I'm,
to
but I'm
be
making
asking
this,
questions.
but I'm making the same point.
Okay.
Do you know what Moody's Analytics is?
I don't know.
Famous forecaster for presidential elections. They have extremely high accuracy rate. In 2019, Moody's Analytics forecasted that should certain conditions be met, Trump was looking at Reagan 49 state landslide territory.
Gotcha.
When Moody's Analytics dropped that, every major news publication published it, and I picked the story up and said, here is what they are saying. And then what happens is liberals take it and they run with it.
This is, I got the exact quote.
You don't have the exact quote
from
because there's like
ChatGPT.
78,000 of them.
Well, this is the first one. You said Kamala Harris has been chosen, according to ChatGPT, has been chosen to be vice presidential running mate for Joe Biden in the 2020 election cycle. And I'm sure most of you have already heard by now because the internet can't stop laughing. But the choice may be a gift to Donald Trump of a massive 49-state landslide. Now, you're probably saying, Tim, by what metric could you even possibly predict a Trump getting a 49-state landslide? And it's actually a good point. There's no real hard data. What I'm actually talking about is the weird ways in which history seems to be repeating itself. From what I can take, that wasn't a claim that there will be a 49.
And there's also another important point that 49-state landslide is a meme. It doesn't actually mean 49-state landslide. It was a meme at the time among the right representing we're going to win. And so they kept posting like the retard Wojak, and he would be putting a red state into it's a map of America that's all red, and he's drooling and putting a red state in. And then they're like 49-state landslide, or 49-state landslide.
This is then later in 23, you said Poole himself referred to the phrase differently, saying that 49-state landslide was a meme, meaning Trump wins handily, rather than a literal projection of exactly 49 states.
Because 49, it's a reference to Reagan.
Hyperbole.
Okay,
Ronald Reagan
we
got a
move on
40.
from that one.
See,
For,
but
for you being a moderate, though, like what would you say are some like good attributes of the left? I just don't think I've seen that from you. And maybe I do live in a biased echo chamber, but I'd love to hear from you.
It's like when you said that I admitted the war was bad, but we said it the entire time. Like the whole like political through line for me has always been anti-intervention. So let's go for this, right? Let me ask you a question. Do you think there should be a restriction on abortion? And restrictions like literally any.
Yeah, I think that when most people talk about like late-term abortion, they're referring to it as being like elective. Like a woman's going to go through 8 months of pregnancy and then just all of a sudden decide, yeah, you know what, I don't want this kid, which typically is not the case. It's
not what you
usually when
asked.
there is medical like necessity.
Sure, but like just restriction in general, like any restrictions at any point.
Well, that's why I'm saying I think that it's a straw man to
I'm not
say
talking
that that's
about late
He's
term.
asking you though.
I'm not talking about late term. I didn't bring that up.
Well, I'm prefacing what my
abortion.
answer is. I'm prefacing what my answer is.
But you can just say sometimes there might be restrictions, yeah.
I think that, but it's just like the restrictions, I think, like create this weird paradox where women that do require it for medical necessity oftentimes have to jump through hoops. It's like the same thing when we've seen in Texas, we've seen in Alabama where people have died because they need abortion and the doctors are scared to facilitate it because they could lose their medical license.
Yeah, but
so that's why I'd say no.
No restrictions.
Yeah.
So do you think that if a woman wanted to get an elective late-term abortion, she should be allowed?
I think it's just like a straw man. It doesn't happen.
But hold on. It does happen. It's a couple hundred per year. Is that okay?
I think that we need to empower doctors to be able to protect women's health and safety. And so if I think that there could be some restrictions if it's proven that like it's an elective abortion, but I just don't know how you prove that.
Is the argument you're making that because there's only a few hundred late-term elective abortions per year, we don't want to put the restrictions on it because it could inhibit women who actually need medical intervention?
Yeah, I just think the examples of like healthcare professionals that end up becoming afraid to facilitate like protecting the health and well-being of a mother because they're afraid of losing their license, that's a greater net negative than like the elective
So if it were possible to say we will make sure there's no restrictions on medical intervention.
Yeah, if we could add that in the legal language.
Then we completely agree. I think that once the baby can live, there's no reason to kill it, right? If the woman's already pregnant and the baby is viable, then just deliver the baby and put it up for adoption. Put it in a NICU, whatever it has to be. The issue, so I consider myself what we call traditional pro-choice, and the reason is the modern left is, Michelle Wolf going, abortions, and like acting like it's something to celebrate when it's not. And then the issue is, the ultimate question that the left never answers is, why should we make unrestricted abortion? So I think that my position is, if a woman goes to the doctor and there's something related to her medical health or physical health that is causing problems to where the doctor needs to intervene, which will result in the loss of the baby, ain't nobody's business. The idea that a woman should be able to use abortion as contraception is wrong. But I believe the answer is cultural. Ron Paul said it best: abortion should not be illegal; it should be unthinkable. And so the issue is not the exercise of law; the issue is exercise of culture. And I actually think written law doesn't really matter. It matters what a society is willing to tolerate.
Yeah, and I think that the best way to facilitate people excited to start families and give birth is creating the economic conditions that allow people to do that. Making sure that people have the wages to support a family. Making sure that we have access to necessary goods. That is how you're going to build the
I'm gonna make
families.
I'm gonna make a prediction. I think you're further right than I am.
In what way?
In the actual way, not the tribalistic way. So when we define left and right, we're referring to
for this one.
Political tribes, right? So when you say left, you're clearly referring to even the Lincoln Project, despite their old curmudgeon neocons.
I would not say the Lincoln Project's left.
The Lincoln Project is squarely in the left, even though we don't consider them to be like far left, leftist. I'm talking about tribes. They are anti-Trump and they support the Democratic Party. They are tribal left.
They're left.
That is the tribal left. It is.
No, I'd say people like Joe Manchin and John Fetterman are right. And you would say that they're part of the left coalition?
Correct. Those are tribal right. We're not talking about economics or culture. We're talking about tribes. John Fetterman aligns with the right on most issues, although he votes with Democrats, so he's in a weird position. Manchin as well. When they talk, they're fairly middle, but they're leaning tribal right. So, for instance, I'm pro-progressive tax, right? I'd imagine you want to tax the rich.
Yeah.
Do you think that we should have tariffs on goods? And I'm not talking about Trump's tariffs, I'm talking about tariffs in general.
Well, I think that tariffs can be advantageous in certain sectors, but I think the universal tariffs like Trump
we're not talking about that.
Incorrect.
Do you think that the U.S. should have tariffs on goods in any capacity?
Yeah, I think they can be helpful in some situations.
So yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that we should put tariffs on like auto manufacturing to force these manufacturers back to the United States?
I think we've crossed a line there, and a lot of that was the deregulation of Ronald Reagan that has moved a lot of these industries out of the U.S. So I think it would be really difficult to bring them back. But I think when you go to places like Detroit and you see just barren wastelands that used to be thriving communities and industries, it's really difficult to contend with, okay, how are we going to move this back into a thriving position?
So just very simply, there'd be a huge debate on the merits, the metrics, and all that, but you would say no to auto tariffs.
I just think it depends on the implementation for sure. I'm not like anti-protectionist trade policy, but I am
So middle of the road on the tariff issue.
Yeah.
I'm to the left of you on that issue.
Okay.
I think that we should absolutely implement trade protectionism for the American worker.
Well, I'm not like big into like we need global free trade for these types of industries.
I know. That's why I said you're moderate.
But
so you're to the right of me.
Okay. Sure.
You're in the middle. That's fair, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm to the left of you on that issue. What about like migration? Do you think that we should allow illegal immigrants, unauthorized immigrants, whatever you want to call them, when they enter the country to work in the United States?
Well, it depends on what yeah. If you just want yes or no answers, then yes. Yeah, I think that's
the right-wing position. That is the right economic position.
It's not.
That is the right economic position.
It's not. No.
Yes, it is.
No, libertarians who want like a cheaper labor force and to increase the labor pool to make sure that corporations are able to pay people less, that is a right position. My position is by legalizing and giving these people amnesty or making sure that they're citizens and that they're actually able to collectively bargain and unionize within their workplace to advocate for stronger positions, that's not a right-wing position.
It actually is.
No, it's not.
Right economics for free trade and free movement is a right economic position.
No.
It factually and academically is. It's not an opinion statement.
So Donald Trump's left on immigration.
Yes.
Okay.
So I strongly recommend that you read about these things, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So what does left and right mean? There's a few different qualifiers. There's a cultural scale, there's the economic scale, and there's a tribal scale. So typically when we're speaking publicly, they're all used interchangeably and often don't make sense.
Gotcha.
However, in most arguments, people are referring to the tribal nature. That's why you'll have Jimmy Dore called right wing, despite the fact he's a socialist. And you'll have John Fetterman called left by some and right by others because they're referring to the particular tribal stances they make. Economics on the left and right scale, right refers to on the far right of the economic scale, you have laissez-faire capitalism. On the far left, you have communism. Like so you're isolating for political ideology or culture. As you move closer to freedom of movement, you are on the right. As you move closer to trade protectionism, you're on the left. The public good and control of these systems. So economically, I am to the left of where you are on that issue, as are many Republicans. This was Bernie Sanders' position in 2016. We cannot allow these people to come into work. In fact, the World Socialist website called him a nationalist capitalist for that position. They said a lot when Bernie the socialists called Bernie a capitalist when he took the position of we should not let these people come in. They said he was trying to protect the American worker. But that's actually the left position. You have the cultural scale, and this is nebulous because culture changes. But the cultural scale, it inverts depending on what period you're in. This is why they talk about the Southern strategy. This is why Democrats used to be the Klan, but now the Democrats have more non-whites in Congress than Republicans do, even though Republicans had the first black members of Congress. Left and right on the cultural scale is amorphous and generational. So again, when we are isolating policies based on their appropriate scale, I think it's fair to say that you land to the right of me on some issues. See, but I don't know why it's hard to believe. I'm not saying everything.
No, but I think it's funny to try to attribute like believing in people's ability for free movement or civil liberties when it comes to them being able to enter the country is a right-wing position. That absolutely
it is a right
not.
economic position.
The right position is the nationalist idea that this country does not have ethnic hegemony unless it has a particular culture that's maintained. That's the hierarchy.
A modern right cultural
that is
position.
the hierarchy that is established by the nationalist worldview.
So
to say that Donald Trump is left-wing on immigration is absolutely incorrect. And I think every Republican would laugh at you too to say Donald Trump's left on
he's more
immigration.
left than most. So have you ever looked at the political compass?
Yeah, but I think the political compass is even biased, mostly towards like libertarian left.
I largely agree.
I think
with
that libertarian right like isn't even like a real ideology. I think that
What?
The libertarian right isn't even like a real ideology. You're always going to maintain hierarchy, whether that's through the government tampering down on civil rights.
No.
With the right.
I agree.
You think
I think libertarians are nuts.
You think the libertarian right doesn't think of?
No. He's disparaging them as wishful thinkers.
But so you're saying that the right libertarians don't believe in any hierarchy?
No, they do believe in hierarchy.
Okay.
I'm just saying it's more of a corporate like actual
he's
capitalist
right.
hierarchy than it is with the government hierarchy.
He's right. I can't stand the laissez-faire capitalists where they're like, it's better this way, and then you get a monopoly that buys everything, and then you get the oil barons or the East India Trading Company.
Well, they're not fine with government tyranny, but they're fine with corporate tyranny.
Exactly. You get unanswerable, like the East India Trading Company killing 50,000 people for black peppercorn. Like, okay, this idea of like, we'll be more free when we let one corporation buy everything is silly. And then you'll move upwards towards authoritarian when you have a government. I'm not saying literal authoritarian. I'm saying you're more authoritarian when the government comes in and breaks these corporations up, but that is anti-free trade. So you're basically saying, we're not going to let you buy whatever you want because y'all buy people. You know what I mean?
But that's why I think the political compass it's not like the best way to look at different political ideologies. I think that looking at the left and right spectrum as like, how much do you want to preserve hierarchy is a better metric towards establishing what political ideology.
Well, but hold on. Like
with the far left, the various far left, where you would like destroy all hierarchy, would be like an anarchist worldview, and I don't think that's
the ultimate far left is communism.
No, but I would disagree. I think that like the more that you try to dismantle hierarchy, you get to like anarchy, where you're dealing with like syndicates or like workers' unions.
If you
that's
want,
what we're talking about, like the furthest left.
So this is actually
the furthest right. What you see is like totalitarian fascism.
You're talking about a totally different scale, which is typically top to bottom. When we talk liberty, decentralized to centralized authoritarian on the compass, that's why I bring it up. The scale that you're using is used by anarchists quite a bit, where they say either they will choose either whether they want to identify as left or right and then claim the other side. So what right-wing libertarians will do is they'll say the far right is freedom and anarchy and the far left is totalitarian and communist. And what the communists will do is say the far left is equality and distribution and the far right is corporatist monopolist. But those are personalized to a singular ideology. Let's just break it down and refer to the scales I'm talking about. Economic scale, where on the left, you could have authoritarian or otherwise. No. On the left, libertarian communism is a real thing the right doesn't believe in. Libertarian communism.
Well, that's like that syndicalist worldview of like
and it exists.
Decentralized unions.
It exists when you have hippies on a farm and they share their watermelon and do the dishes together. There is no one in charge of the farm. They all just hang out and they're friends. And then
Civil War Spain with workers' union syndicates
until they got crushed. You know what I mean? Like Catalonia. But Ian's on a farm and he walks in and goes, "Dude, I grew some watermelon. You guys want to share it?" "Yeah, man." Then they eat it together and then, "Bro, thanks for making the watermelon. I'll take care of the trash for you." It works really well at small scale. On the right, it works really well at small scale as well. But then you get a monopoly. You get the East India Trading Company and they kill people over pepper. So if
Coca-Cola death squads
or banana death squads in Guatemala or whatever, banana death squads, this is crazy, right? The Banana Republic. So the point I'm making is, if we are talking about non-authoritarian, we're talking literally about laissez-faire capitalism to decentralized, communal structures, I would be to the left of you on some issues. But here's what I'm going to say. I think your issue with it largely is a tribal reaction. you don't want to emotionally accept that I'm to the left of you on some things.
Well, I'd be fine if you actually like lived up to those left-wing positions.
Like, how do I not?
I think advocating for Donald Trump, who absolutely is not on those left ends of the spectrum.
Like, which ones?
Like, he's not left-wing on immigration, which is a complete mischaracterization.
You're incorrect. Tribally, sure, but I'm not talking about tribe. I'm clearly on the right tribe.
It's not even tribally. It's economic as well.
Okay, come on.
Establishing a nationalist economy is not a left-wing position.
Then I'm with Bernie on this one.
Something that is in what you said about being a democratic socialist is a more international view. But I think if you take global poverty that seriously, it leads you to conclusions that in the U.S. are considered out of political bounds. Things like sharply raising the level of immigration we permit, even up to a level of open borders, about sharply increasing the amount of foreign aid. Open borders.
That's a Koch brothers proposal. The idea, of course, I mean, that's a right-wing proposal.
Oh my God!
No, but it's
Bernie,
right-wing.
let's go!
It's right-wing in the sense that not giving them citizenship will be
Don't
easier
care.
for corporations to exploit them. That's the difference.
You trying to justify why open borders is some nut thing. I'm gonna go my boy Bernie on this one. And that's why I backed him in 2016.
Right.
You're saying if you keep
you know
them
what- do you know
illegal,
what
it's
these
right
people
wing, but
do?
if you legalize
Yes.
them, it becomes a left
Right.
wing.
Well, keeping them
No, it's
illegal
not. That's
makes
not
them
true.
keeping them illegal makes them a more easily exploitable workforce. Where not only are they not they're not able to collectively bargain, but at the same time, a lot of these corporations threaten ICE or they threaten deportation if they bring up things like wage theft or they bring up things like unpaid wages or unpaid benefits. That is a right wing position, which is further establishing a hierarchy where this is a vulnerable class that's easily exploited.
I think. I'm gonna go with my man Bernie on this one and just say, you can
think
say whatever you want.
You think that more workers in a labor pool that build a larger union that can collectively bargain at a higher rate with their employers is a right-wing position?
When they enter the country illegally, padding the workforce of that corporation, yes, I do.
It's not about them. It's about reforming the immigration system to make it easier to become a citizen in this country.
Well, that's a different question from open borders.
Well, that was my position.
I'm for immigration.
Then why would you vote for somebody like Donald Trump?
Well, there's a difference between someone coming to the country illegally and someone going through.
Well, if someone goes through the legal mechanism and they're proposing to denaturalize those people, in what way is that promoting the legal process?
Who's proposing denaturalizing legal?
Donald Trump ordered the DOJ to denaturalize up to 2,000 people a month. You can fact check me on that.
For what?
On things like green cards, on things like permanent residency.
But for what justification?
Because he thinks that certain people from certain countries don't add to the value of this country.
So what is the
Specifically for
what
people like
law
Africa or people like
what law grants denaturalization?
What law?
Yes, what law provides for denaturalization?
Well, this was at the command of the executive, so
but there's
it wasn't
a law.
a piece of legislation that
It
was
is.
written into Congress.
It absolutely.
What's the law?
It's the INA, and it grants Marco Rubio the authority, pending at his sole discretion, to revoke visas, and with justification, green cards. Meaning, for green card holders, they can cite justification. Green card holders have a right to adjudication. For naturalized citizens, if there is fraud found in the naturalization process, they can be denaturalized. That's the INA, and that gives Marco Rubio the power.
Yeah, fraud, concealing criminal conduct, terrorism, national security concerns, which is pretty vague, but there are certain serious criminal offenses.
The fraud and national security. I mean, what, you're critical of Israel too much, and now you're going to lose your citizenship?
That's questionable, but
that's not what happens.
It's only 100 people per month. 100 to 200 people per month are being denaturalized.
What about
Which is upwards of 2,000 people a year.
per year? Yeah, 2,400 a year.
What did I say? Month? I meant year. Okay. Sorry about that.
No, you said year. I was correcting you.
Okay.
The dude who got his visa revoked for being anti-Israel. I have two things to say about that. Nobody, I really think it's stupid if there's like a student at a school who's anti-Israel, you're going to pull their visa. However,
What's your thoughts on Mahmoud Khalil?
that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like if he was at school and he was just like, blogging and like writing papers.
Well, he participated in an encampment, which is what they said.
Which is where you're getting into the threshold of criminal activity and a question of national interest.
But participating in a protest.
As not an American citizen, get out. Like why are we letting foreign individuals protest our government
He's
in
a
our
permanent
country?
resident.
He's not a citizen.
Still not a citizen.
He's a foreign
Permanent
individual.
resident.
He's still not a citizen.
Foreign individual.
Do you make a distinction? Do you make a distinction between people that are permanent residents and citizens?
Do you think that criticizing the government should be
just
allowed
asked
based on
you.
your paperwork?
Yes, I
so
do.
funny.
Yes, I do.
Wow.
And listen, I don't have the same position as Tim. Right? I'm full on total.
out.
Anybody that's
Well,
here
I'm to the left
illegally
of Mason on this
out.
issue.
Anybody here that's illegal, if you're here illegally, you need to go. But do you believe that there is a distinction between a person that is not a citizen and a person that is a citizen?
Yeah, but I think that the constitutional rights should be granted to all persons, as it says in the
What
Constitution.
constitutional right? You're talking about the freedom
right
of
to
speech.
criticize a government.
I think that people that are here that are not citizens.
It actually doesn't say that.
The Secretary of State, the State Department, has carte blanche to deport any guest that has paperwork at any time, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
And denaturalized fraud.
country
It
of
actually, to clarify,
I don't care about your moralizing.
it does not say that. The Constitution doesn't grant the right of any person to speak.
Well, it says of all persons. That's
It-
specifically
it-
the language that I was talking about.
It doesn't.
Where
It
does
says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or the press or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances.
sorry, the right of the people
Which is a reference to what?
to the people.
The people means the citizens of the country.
Well, that could be an interpretation that you're taking.
That's
If
the-
you're taking a hard right
Okay,
stance
I'll go-
on immigration. which
I'll
is
go with
more
the
to right of me.
I'll go with the see. You think Bernie Sanders is right wing?
I think Bernie Sanders in this again is talking about the exploitability of undocumented workers.
And do you think that even if you allow undocumented workers to come into the country, can they be exploited?
Absolutely.
Will they be exploited?
Yeah.
Even if
we
you
don't
provide
reform
protections?
our immigration system,
Do
to allow
people
them
in
to
unions
become
ever get
citizens.
exploited?
If we have
Do
ICE
people in
agents,
unions ever get exploited?
not at the same rate as people
I
who
didn't
are
ask. I didn't ask
individualized.
what rate. I said, do they get exploited?
Yeah, of course.
Are they being exploited today?
Yeah.
So you're going to let corporations exploit workers at a lower rate, and that's still okay?
It's still a straw man.
then we'll call you moderate right-wing.
Being in the union, being able to collectively organize with fellow workers absolutely increases your ability to withstand exploitation. That's the difference. It doesn't mean that it's going to end it all right. Becoming in a union makes everything
What if the
perfect.
union
It's saying
votes
that
to
it's
have?
absolutely
What if
gonna
the
be
union
better.
votes to have them deported?
What do you mean? If the union votes to deport the workers that are now citizens in the union,
Like the
that
union,
makes no sense.
Like the unions that back Trump.
If
In
you're saying
2024,
the-
a bunch of the unions backed Trump, and they wanted these people removed.
Well, first of all, backing a president that's trying to increase the ability for corporations to union bust is not in the same interest.
And why did they
if you're
support
talking
him?
about the Teamsters,
And why did they support
if you're
him?
talking about the Teamsters that endorsed Trump at the RNC in order to get favorability amongst a presidential administration that is going to determine how strong their union's able to be, that's a whole different thing than saying unions support Trump in full.
I'm talking about the ones that did.
Which party do you think is more in favor of further unionization? Let's ask that.
The Democrats.
Okay, so I don't understand what the issue.
You have an
with that
emotional
statement.
reaction to the statement that open borders is a right-wing proposal.
I have a fact
No.
check here.
You have
And
absolutely
I'm
an
not
emotional
I'm
reaction.
not pro open borders. When did I say that?
I have a fact check for you guys regarding people's right to peaceably assemble. Yes, it does refer to non-citizens as well. The Supreme Court ruled Bridges versus Wixon that
Stand corrected.
that non-citizens have the right for peaceable assembly. I mean,
And I also agree that under the INA, the Secretary of State can remove them.
for what exactly? What does it give them?
Anything they want. They're
Marco
not
Rubio
citizens.
has
I don't like the way
unilateral
you looked at
authority
me
to
kind of
revoke
thing?
permits
Yeah.
under certain restrictions, green cards, and with fraud, citizenship.
But not like you looked at me weird? Because
No.
you just said yes. Okay. So
Wait. No. For
the
visas.
Secretary
Okay,
of State said
clarify.
you looked at me strange. You're not a citizen. You're out.
No. Stop.
That's what I asked.
Visas,
it's
any reason, green card, certain restrictions, citizenship with fraud. So if a guy is here on a tourist visa or a temporary work visa or an athlete visa, the Secretary of State can say, I don't care, I don't need a reason, you're gone.
It's just wild to be a part of nonviolent expression against like a government action, and your response to that is going to be like, hell yeah, let's remove them from the roots that they built here as a permanent resident.
It's not wild.
Well,
no one said that.
If your population,
No one said that.
Phil said that.
Oh, sure. I mean,
That's what I was saying.
I don't agree with Phil on that. My argument was like if he's you're allowed to criticize Israel. You're allowed to come to this country. People who come to this country come from all sorts of countries with all sorts of disagreements with the United States. Organizing and being involved in big protests is where you're on the line of criminality.
It's
And
not criminal. That's what I just said. It's part of expression against a government action.
so was anybody at those encampments arrested?
Yeah, there were.
So there's a line of criminality.
But what are they arrested for? What's the severity of the crime?
That's why I said it's the line. I'm not saying
even
they're
breaking,
murdering
like
people.
if he's speeding, then like a permanent resident can get their residency removed and get deported to a country who they might
And
not have been in
if
for a
the
decade.
plurality of this
Wild.
country votes for immigration enforcement, that's democracy. And I may not completely agree on the threshold, but I'm not going to also go out and protest it.
I'm objecting to the action. I'm not saying that it's going to happen if a majority of people want it in the current system that we have, but we can all agree that there are some laws that we'd consider immoral.
What if you were in charge of the
Most of the
country?
laws are immoral.
Hypothetically, if you were in charge of the nation's security and you were at war with another country and you found a bunch of their citizens were here without, they weren't citizens, but they were protesting and advocating for the other country to win and for your country to fall and for you to die. Like, what would you do as a commander of the military?
Well, it depends on what the actions are. If they're threatening the security and safety of other people that are living within the country, but by violent means, then absolutely the government
it's all by voice. They're sitting in groups and they're saying, we need the U.S. to fall. And more people keep coming to their group.
That's part of having freedom of speech.
The group is
It's
growing
allowing
and
people
growing
to say
and
things
growing.
that even the government does not agree with. Yes.
Correct.
No, I disagree.
Your job as the military commander of
I
the
disagree with
security
that.
of the nation. You notice that now this group is growing and growing and growing and growing. And now maybe they're open carrying. Now they're growing even bigger and they're louder. Like, at what point are you going to do anything?
To take the predictive measure of I'm going to stop crime before it happens is the exact justification for every authoritarian regime.
But it's also not stopping crime before it happens can also lead to the downfall of your nation. Look at Neville Chamberlain.
So again, you're saying that the justification is worth it for the government to do that, the predictive crime.
Well, it's never.
Which I would say no.
It's never
absolutely,
yes or no. It's not one or the other.
Here's the
the
thing.
British didn't intervene with the German war machine, and because of that, the Germans invaded.
Let me ask you some questions. Who's your favorite president?
Yeah, you're gonna say FDR did the Japanese.
I'm not absolutely. I'm not talking about FDR. I'm asking you who your favorite president was.
I don't know. I don't think that we should look at politicians as celebrities, but I do think that, like, as far as like the domestic agenda, I do like the policies of FDR.
Okay.
When it comes to rebuilding the working class and stuff.
Do you know who the most
Great Depression?
the most popular president in American history is?
Probably George Washington early on.
Incorrect.
Who is it?
He's a top contender. Abraham Lincoln.
Wait, I disagree with that. No way.
When Americans are polled, Abraham Lincoln takes the top
Oh,
spot.
now I thought you were saying at the time who was.
No.
Oh, no.
That's why I was
saying,
like, no fucking way. We broke up the
historically,
country.
when they run polls, there's one guy who's won nearly every single time through
Yeah,
the
Lincoln,
generations. It's
and who removed habeas corpus and
Yeah,
And,
they're
like,
brutal. So did FDR.
I mean, the
You
things that he
mentioned it, like,
did-
the internment camps. Like, at some point, just speaking, it's peaceful to a point, but you can rally a lot of subvertive danger with just peaceful.
So you think the Japanese internment camps were necessary?
It's hard to tell because there was no control study. I don't know if there would have been
think they were
Japanese revolts
necessary.
inside of the country if they hadn't interned them.
Then
I think that.
tell me how you can reconcile that. Then.
How me?
Yeah.
So I don't think they were necessary because in the 40s, right, when they were interning them, most of the people that came to the United States
We're pro-United
were
States.
pro-United States and wanted to become Americans.
and they were very, very small in population.
Yeah,
The numbers were microscopic.
And so I don't think
Fraction of
I
a
don't think the internment of Japanese. We talked about this the other night because he had made some comment about interning Chinese people, the possibility of interning Chinese people,
which
in
is
the
like
future.
3% of the
Yeah,
population.
but so I don't think the Japanese internment was even defensible because when people came to the United States, in that time frame they wanted to become American. You saw people saying, "No, we're not speaking the old language. We're going to learn English, et cetera, et cetera." So I don't think that it was defensible at all.
We got to grab some questions from the crew here, the Timcast Discord, and we went a little long, so I'll try and grab what I can.
I have some questions after that. Just a couple before we leave.
SWC says, question for Mason. If the Constitution gives rights to all people inside the borders of the U.S., then what is to stop transient non-citizens from purchasing weapons, assembling militias, voting, or creating parallel systems of power? What separates an invasion from an other than legal mass migration?
Well, there's a difference between identifying a threat that can happen within the country and having proper evidence to do that. That's what probable cause is. And so showing that, like, you're organizing a militia that has clear intent to harm U.S. citizens, absolutely the government would have justification.
But so then people gathering and saying, "Look, we want to tear down the government, or we want to hold on, let me finish."
Go ahead.
Saying that they want to tear down the structures of the government, they want to do all these things that would basically change the government or say start a revolution. That's not probable cause? That's not intent?
People on a college campus saying we cannot continue to enable a genocide
I was
happening.
specific in my
That's
question. I was specific in my question. People that are saying we're revolutionaries, we want to tear down the government, we want to tear down the existing structures. Those are specific things. That's not probable cause?
If you had the means in order to bring about like violence towards American citizens, that would be probable cause.
There's like 1 billion guns in America.
So what are you saying?
I think it's 650 million.
Yeah, like so there's definitely means to start a violent uprising. It's very I mean, I'm as pro 2A as it comes.
But there's a difference between organized militia that's specifically designed to inflict violence versus those that are against government action. Absolutely.
No, but that's not. Again, you're changing it because I didn't say against government action. I said people that say we need to tear down the government, we need to start a revolution. That's not being I'm against this particular action. That's being against the government, against the United States.
I think saying that no, well, then I'd say that we're at a difference versus what we're interpreting in a lot of these encampments. I'm specifically talking about the encampments. I don't think that deporting people for participating in protests against Israel's continuing a genocide is something that's worth removing citizenship.
I was
what about
specifically
China?
clear though.
What about China?
What about China with what?
Like the Falun Gong. Should we, would you defend their right to protest China?
I'm unfamiliar.
Any group that's protesting any other country, are they allowed to be here? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even talking about the U.S. government actions. I'm saying there's a group of people that are Chinese that hate China. So they're protesting China in the United States.
Yeah,
would you take issue?
No. Why would there be an issue with that?
I'm asking you if there's a distinction you see in the morality of a genocide versus any other country.
No.
That's all the question was. Let's grab this. We don't have a lot of time. Let's see. Let's say it's hard to read. Rotan Nation says, Mason, if artificial wombs existed en masse, what argument would women have about abortion if they had the ability to transfer the embryo safely without harm? I ask because then everyone wins. Well, let me simplify this question as, should women be allowed to get abortions if an artificial womb existed that could preserve the life of the embryo?
I think that our preservation of life is something that's important, and obviously abortion is always going to be a morality issue of where you necessarily see life. I think that personal autonomy is something that we guarantee within our legal system, and we don't prioritize preservation of life over that bodily autonomy. So like in an instance where like if you were in a car crash that you caused because you drunk drive, you initially volunteered to put someone else's life at risk, and they require like a kidney transplant, you happen to be a match, no sane person would say, yeah, the government should force you to donate your kidney to that person.
Now, what if
that's the same thing I'd view with pregnancy.
So let's say a woman, she's pregnant, 10 weeks pregnant. Mm-hmm. And she says, I don't want to be pregnant. For whatever reason, it's none of your business.
Yeah.
And the doctor says, we can remove the embryo and put it into an artificial womb where it will survive.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be an interesting conversation when that technology exists, because we're going to be on track to be there.
It does exist
right now.
They just don't. It's not commercial for human use. They've already proven it with animals,
like lambs and stuff.
Yeah. So it exists. The question is, and the question needs to be answered.
If there was a way to do that safely for protecting the health, then yeah, I think that could be a compromise.
I think that's the only answer. I mean, because then it's, okay, fine, you can terminate the pregnancy, but not the baby. And then the baby gets to live, and the woman has her choice or whatever it may be, and no one's happy, but...
Yeah,
everyone's bummed out means you made the right choice.
Everyone's bummed out.
Does the woman have to pay for the gestation of the baby in the artificial womb, or do I have to pay for it as a taxpayer?
Here we go. There's no answer.
I don't want to pay for other people's artificial baby wombs. I got enough problems in my life.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I got no answers.
I would rather pay for the artificial baby wombs than pay for the abortion.
I don't want to pay for any of it.
All right. Well, guys, we only have a couple minutes left, and you wanted to ask some questions.
Yeah. I saw a lot of the Charlie Kirk portraits behind you.
Autographed.
I had a question about who's your source that said that he was stable?
I don't want to. Let me.
You don't want to share who it is.
My security company is friends with Charlie's security company, and so when all this stuff was going down, the people who work here were in constant conversation. Let me put it like this: I don't want to get anybody fired, and I don't want to make anybody the center of attention. I got a phone call. I was calling everybody, and we were told by someone on Charlie's team that he was stable. And I said, "Can I report this?" And they said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay." And I wasn't sure, but I'll tell you the reality is the information that we were getting was basically like, he's not dead. And we were like, please God. And then the next thing we hear is they've got him in the hospital. He's stable. Or I don't know if he was at the hospital at that point. They were like, he's stable.
He was on the way.
He was on the way. I think what we were told was that at the time, and this is what's really, really so offensive about so many people, man. I mean, first of all, celebrating his death. And then people like, I don't know if Hassan was doing this, but they're tweeting like tweeting at me like he was stable. These people can go fuck themselves. Charlie had just gotten shot. And literally no one knew what happened. Within minutes, we're getting messages saying he's not dead. And I think what happens is the information we got relayed was not to say that he was in a hospital bed with his heart beating and they were transfusing blood and he was alive. It was that he's in transport to the hospital and he's not dead. That's what they meant by stable. And so now, in hindsight, nobody asks what happened on that day, and they take it and manipulate it to presume I'm saying Charlie's laying in a hospital, they've got him on life support, and he's okay.
Yeah, I just asked because I think you were like the first person to say, not definitively, but just something.
You know what the sad reality is? Behind the scenes, we are being told he's alive and stable. And again, I think what they're conveying to us in the car is he's in the car and alive, and he's not actively dying.
Gotcha.
But the reality is, on the phone, the people crying are like, I think he's going to die. And I'm fucked up, man. Reliving that. I get a phone call. Charlie got shot. And the only thing we wanted to believe was that he was not going to die. And then when I get a phone call and they're like, damn, I don't think he's going to fucking live, bro. I think he's going to die. But they're telling us that he's alive and he's stable. And I tweeted that because I want it to be fucking true. Man, these fucking demons. Dude, we did that Jubilee episode, and I said there are white supremacists that voted for Trump hoping that ICE would kill migrants. And these motherfuckers wrote stories saying Tim Pool says he wants ICE to kill migrants. These are fucking demons. I don't want anybody shot. I don't want anyone to die. I don't want you or any liberal or any progressive to be hurt or killed or beaten by cops. But Jesus, these people and the things they say, dancing on stage with fake blood on their necks. We live with demons, man.
I just pulled up your tweet about it from Grok, and it says source tells me Charlie is stable. Please God. It wasn't, you didn't say he was stable. You said source tells me Charlie is stable.
Yeah.
And then you followed up, I received a call from a trustworthy source who told me this. I want to believe and I'm hoping. Just pray. That was your response to it.
And I had 17 phone calls at that moment where I was like, bro, I had one dude who works in security. So I don't want to say too much, but
I only brought it up just because
I don't
think I ever heard
no
where the
disrespect
source was, so I just wanted to ask since I had the opportunity.
I also mentioned that Ben Shapiro said that he was getting updates from Charlie's security team, and that was true for us the same. And Candace is a liar, and all these people lied. So I'll make sure this is very clear for everybody. My security team involves on-the-ground guards, the head of the company, secretaries. Charlie's security has very much the same. Charlie's security was not literally just 4 guys in a van. His security company probably has 100+ employees. Our security company, they're all friends with each other. So when we need security, our security guy calls them up and says, who you got located in these locations? We've worked with Charlie's, like not formally, but like when we go to TPUSA events, we've had Charlie Security working for us. We were at TPUSA. Their security did security for us because that's security for the whole event. So when this is going down, the logistics people are getting information relayed by the people on the ground, which is not everybody in the car. And they're talking with other security that includes Ben's, that includes ours. Why? Charlie just got shot. And it's not even necessarily a professional courtesy. It's that they're friends. Like the guy who runs our security company is friends with the guy who runs Charlie's security company. So he probably is on the phone calling them and be like, yo, what just happened? And they're like, this is what we know. Stay tuned. And then all of these conspiracy people are acting like Charlie only had 3 security guards in the car calling Ben Shapiro. So I'll tell you this. I probably had like 17 phone calls. One security guy said, before we knew anything, I was driving with my wife and we got on the highway when Alex Stein called me and he said, Charlie's been shot. And I said, I'll call you back. What? And I hung up. And that was within like 30 seconds of it happening. I guess, Alex was watching. We're on the highway. We're heading to Winchester. And this is when my phone starts blowing up. People who work here are friends with people who work for Charlie. Like we know all these people. We're at AmFest every year. literally friends, as in they were literally texting each other about clothes and food and shopping when this went down. As much as we were hearing positive things, I will tell you the secret that nobody said. When I said, I'm hearing he's stable, source tells me, I hope it's true, I had heard 17 times he was dead. Not that he was like overtly dead, but I get it. One of the calls that's notable is a guy who does security, firearms, specialty firearms training, sniper stuff. Hey, Tim, ain't nobody surviving that shot. And I was like, bro, don't tell me this, dude. And he's like,
you're saying you said it just in hopes that it was true.
When I was
literally
told
said
no
you're
one's
not-
surviving that shot, it was not definitive.
I'm sorry. I was
Yeah,
asking.
yeah. When I got a call and I said, tell me what's going on, he's like, brother, no one's surviving that. It wasn't a Charlie's dead. So I'm not going to tweet, Charlie can't survive. The official statement we got, hey, Charlie's, I think it was, I don't know what time it was, you have to check. Oh. And I may have waited to tweet it, but it was, he's stable. And again,
7:43 General Mountain Time, which is
no, that's not correct. Because that was Charlie got shot at like 3 o'clock or something.
Yeah, I remember it was like
4
we were all
p.m.
talking
or
about it.
something?
It would have been around 4 because I was live streaming at 4:30.
Something like that.
What it meant is that my understanding was they were saying he's on his way and he's not dying. Like they're holding his neck or whatever. Like there was no super specifics. It was just like he's alive. So I don't know, man. And now, it's
Thanks
like,
for the context.
yeah,
To
no
make
disrespect to you.
relive it
Like
and everything.
it's not like I was there. You know what I mean? It's just
But you knew him well.
I was just texting with him. Like I had just like not that day, but like a week earlier. You know, we were texting. I didn't know him super well. You know, I would call him a friend just in that. I put it like this: we weren't bar buddies, we didn't hang out. But if I publicly said, "Well, I don't think Charlie's my friend," he'd be offended. He'd be like, "What?" He's like, "What are you doing? We talk on the phone. Like, what do you mean?" You know, I don't know. It is what it is. So we just live with the people are nasty. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. We do gotta go though. It was great having you. You definitely have you back because I think the conversation was fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And it's
appreciate
funny-
the team. Your team's been very accommodating. My flight got canceled like once and maybe twice last night. So appreciate it.
Always. I just want to stress like what you get on Jubilee versus when we actually have time to sit down and have a real conversation. It's more fruitful. So follow me on X and Instagram. You want to shout anything out?
Yeah, check out Twitter, I guess, One Hand Politics, if that's the camera I'm supposed to look at. Or Twitch. I stream like pretty frequently every week. So if you want to check me out there. Appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, good time, man. I hope that the fact checking helped. This was a blast, man.
I'm sorry, Ian. Did it say GMT?
Yeah.
That's Greenwich Mean Time.
Oh, those General Mountain. Where the hell is my mind? Are there 4 time zones in the U.S. or 3? Eastern,
Someone
Central,
commented, they're like, does
Pacific?
Ian think GMT
Mountain
means General
Time.
Mountain
Thanks.
Time?
That's funny.
Greenwich Mean Time.
General Mountain.
That's British centric. That's with the center of the universe. 0, the prime meridian, they call it.
Damn.
It's all British propaganda. Hey, follow me at Ian Crossland. Let's have this conversation again. I enjoy it. And I'll be back on the fact checking if I can. Phil Labonte.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. You can check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Phil That Remains. The band is All That Remains. You can check out our music on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube, Spotify, and Deezer. Don't forget the left lane is for crime. Carter.
Mason, thanks for coming out, man. It's been a pleasure. I hope to have you back. Great conversation, everyone. You can follow me at Carter Banks everywhere, at Carter Banks Official everywhere else. Follow the record label at Trash House Records on YouTube. And yeah, that's it.
I'm going to say one last thing as we wrap this up, just to simplify the point on Charlie. What makes me angry is that the tweet saying that he was stable and I'm praying and please God be true was a tweet of hope that he could survive, despite the fact most of us believed he wouldn't. That is currently being weaponized by nasty people, maybe evil's a better way to describe it, to mock my pain on that day and what hope we tried to preserve. So I get it. It's the internet. This is what the internet does. There you go. But I assume most of you watching already understood all of that anyway, but it feels good to say. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you all next time.